5 races into the 3rd season of NARL GT3 racing, and the points battles are as alive as ever. Juan Blanat heads into Charlotte with just 1 point over Gustavo Ariel, while Nathan Lewis looks on a deficit of just 3 points, up to the points lead. Rob Rodriguez looks to extend his amateur lead from a meager 4 points over David Hicks. Yet David Hicks seems to be on a roll this season, absolutely tearing through these races and winning them along the way. Who can brave the sunset in North Carolina tonight? We're going to find out at the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. Hi, and welcome to PitStopTV and for North American Racing League GT3 Season 3 action. There we go. I'll get these down one of these days. This week has been absolutely terrible as far as getting these intros down pat. But anyways, we are here for round number 6 tonight of 8 at the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway on the Roval. I'm Andrew Cardinal IV with JP Costa alongside, and JP, Charlotte Motor Speedway is simply a world-class racing venue. It's the heart of NASCAR, hosting the annual Coca-Cola 600 and Bank of America Roval 400 each year, while also welcoming in the World of Outlaws World Finals, NHRA Drag Racing, US Legend Car Summer Shootout, and Road Course World Finals, and even multiple World Karting Association dates. Oh, and a couple years ago, there was an IMSA race in 2020 for the first time since the 80s. With all of that said, it's going to be a punishing track for these drivers tonight.
Absolutely, Andrew. It certainly is. We've had our, a taste in the Porsche Cup a few weeks ago, and it definitely set up for a fantastic championship finale we just had. And it's going to be more of the same, Andrew. It's an unforgiving racetrack. You know, we have no room for errors. The walls are extremely close. It requires so much precision to go around this racetrack, even in qualifying, let alone in a 40 or 50-minute race. So, yeah. It's going to be a fantastic challenge for these drivers. It could really set up a lot of the championships, Andrew, especially due to how close the standings are.
Coming into the sim now for the first time, and you can see we are in the late afternoon, mid-evening hours at this point here in the virtual Concord, North Carolina. It's going to be a fun one. I always love Charlotte Motor Speedway sunsets. One big reason is because the sun properly sets, as most racetracks should have them, behind the grandstand. So the fans here are shielded by the grandstands, shielded by the suites. They're able to bask in the nice sun, well, the shade. That's what I'm trying to go for. Bask in the shade as opposed to the sunlight. In the summer, that is the best thing ever. When it comes down to the Coca-Cola 600, that is the best, absolutely best thing ever. It's still bright, but you have the shade. You can cool off a little bit. What that does mean for these drivers, they're going to have sun in awkward areas, and when they go around this track map, they're going to see reflections in weird places and maybe not be able to see a whole lot out of NASCAR 4 into that front stretch chicane because of where the sun is. So you can see there's a few opportunities for maybe mistakes, and even over that redneck roller coaster, JB, over turns 5, 6, and 7, you might lose a little bit of visibility in the early moments of this race, early minutes at the very least, until the sun really drops down behind the horizon. Everywhere else, you should be okay. You might get a little bit of glare in the backstretch chicane, and other than that, again, it should be pretty much cut and dry. Those few pieces of glare, that's usually a NASCAR thing. Racing into the sunset, right? Getting that glare might be a thing for these guys tonight.
I think, Andrew, in the Roval, I don't think anything is as cut as dry. I mean, it looks quite simple, doesn't it? I mean, it's the normal Charlotte Motor Speedway, but I mean, that infield section, the hammerhead, redneck roller coaster, the chicanes that we have, they're all so tricky. They require so much precision. So even if the drivers get blinded, Andrew, this is just going to prove how much they practice, because they're going to have this track nailed down to the millimeter if they want to beat their competition. And yeah, it's just going to be fun seeing GT3 cars running so close to the walls yet so fast.
And you can see some of the names here that we'll be using tonight. You can add in backstretch chicane and frontstretch chicane that are not listed. The backstretch chicane, obviously, turns 11 and 12. That chicane on the NASCAR backstretch, and the frontstretch chicane, just the same kind of thinking, is on that front stretch in the NASCAR quad oval there, turns 15 through 17 before you head back onto the front stretch and finish up the lap across the start-finish line. Turn 1, we'll call it maybe Tom's heartburn turn every once in a while, or DeWalt, too tough to turn potentially, but really it's just turn 1. Turn 2 has that banged sweeper that heads you down to the hammerhead. That's what we're calling it this evening. IMSA Radio used it in 2020, fell in love with that term. It is the hammerhead. Credit then to IMSA Radio. Turns 3 and 4, a little bit of bang banking. You can kind of float the car through those corners to make up a little bit of time. If you try and hustle the car, you can maybe pick up a few thousandths by you know, hustling through there, but really you've got to just be smooth, just be patient with that whole sweeper. It really does connect as one whole sweeper corner as opposed to two separate ones, but hey, what we know is it's called the Hammerhead. That heads you onto the Roval backstretch, if you will, headed towards Redneck Roller Coaster, where you literally go up, back down, then back up, then back down. You go up turn 6, down turn 7, back up before you get to turn 8, and then back down a little bit before you get to, well, back up and down before you get to turn number 8. And what we saw, JP, is early in this race, when tires are still cool, and even later on, but really, especially early in this race, when tires are still cool and front grip is at a minimum, these guys are going to wash out a little bit in 7, and we saw some Porsche Cup cars, like Mike Braun or Scott Kimbrough was one of them, that got that wall on the outside of turn 7. It's maybe the easiest wall to hit on this entire course.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I guess the drop between 6 and 7 really can make your car wash a little bit wide, and drivers, well, the unfortunate thing is, Andrew, you realize mid-corner when you're going to hit that wall. You're just going to lift off the gas and turn the wheel as hard as you can to the left to try and avoid the unavoidable contact. So I think, unfortunately, we are going to see more of that today with the GT3 cars on both races, on the amateur race and the Pro-Am race. We just saw one right here.
Timing.
So there you go.
Rosar helping us out.
There you go. So thank you, Zachariah, for showing us how easy it is to make that small mistake. And we saw, Andrew, even a small contact with the wall can have massive implications with the car.
And on the subject of conditions and grip levels, basically, let's take a look at the weather quickly before we go to points. 73 degrees in the air, 77 on the racetrack, and winds are moving around a little bit, but out of the southwest, west maybe, and pretty calm. Nothing too worrying here. Shouldn't be too concerning throughout the course of the day. Should be nice and easy racing weather. Let's take a look though at those standings that I just mentioned. These are the Pro-Am standings. We won't dawdle here too long, but you can see just how close things are with Juan Blanat and Gustavo Ariel, and even Nathan Lewis and Andre Melchers even is not too far back. You have 4 drivers separated by only 12 points. Things are very, very close, especially that top 3. Literally 3 drivers, 3 points apart, and Gustavo is only 1 point behind Juan Blanat. So coming into round 6, this is as close as you could ever ask for it to be. Even the whole top 10 in both classes only separated by 56 points. That's still pretty doggone close. Down to amateur though, JP, this is where some of the magic happens, at least for right now. 4 points between Rodriguez and Hicks. Diego Eder not too far back. William Clover close. Brent Kingcott close. Even Ilya Speaker within 30.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very close. You can see we have a nice little battle entry for 4th place. If you consider Leon Clover only 24 points behind Rob Rodriguez and Brain Kingcott 3 points behind, Ilya Speaker 2 points behind, and then we have a tie for 7th place, Zachariah Roser, William Coffey, and then Brian Long, John Kroom. Every one of those is just, well, 11 points behind 4th place. So we can see a big shakeup in this 4th to 10th section. Then we have, well, between 11th, I guess you can say, all the way down to, well, essentially 19th, we still are quite close to one another, just 18 points separating them. So we're gonna see a big shakeup today in points, Andrew. I really do think we're gonna see a lot of these guys moving. If the championship lead is gonna, well, change, only time will tell, but I'm pretty sure the rest, well, definitely will.
Absolutely, things are going to change this evening. We talk about 56 points being decently close to the whole top 10 in Pro and Pro-Am. How about 71 for the whole entire top 20? And really, Sonny Brown and Mike Braun are only 22 points apart. So that entire, I guess, right side is going to change up entirely, I think, before Virginia next week. And really, I think even the top 10 has a good chance of moving around quite a bit. Speaking of Virginia next week, there we go. Let's take a look at our Season 3 schedule. Here we go. So the Porsche Cup guys, they're done. No schedule to look out for them, but we do still have 3 races to go with the GT3 cars. Charlotte this evening, VIR next week, and Interlagos to round things out on May 5th.
Yeah, it's a fantastic schedule, Andrew. Unfortunately, 3 races to go, and, well, one of them is going to be knocked out today, but, I mean, the final 2, they're absolutely fantastic. I know you love Virginia, and I guess, I mean, what is there not to love about VIR? You know, it's absolutely fantastic, unforgiving, a fun course, and obviously we come to the best circuit of them all, Interlagos. so much fun to have a finale over there. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a fantastic race to have in both classes, and obviously on the GT3 as well. It's going to be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, VIR is almost like America's Nürburgring. It's certainly a lot shorter, and it certainly doesn't have quite that same punishing characteristic, but the fact that it's just a country road, pretty much, it just moves around. You've got S's here and there, hairpins and long straightaways. It feels like a condensed American Nürburgring. So narrow, so little racing room, but that's what makes it so special, so good to race on, at least have a race on. It really comes down to driver patience and attrition throughout the course of the race, and we'll see that certainly in evidence next week through 40 minutes of amateur racing and 50 minutes of Pro-Am racing. But for now, we get to see many of the same qualities actually this evening here at Charlotte, as we're going to have basically a street race with an oval attached to it. That's what this comes down to for this Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. Let's get down trackside and properly look at some of these cars as they get out there for qualifying for the first time. Blaine Sparling, one of the first out there in car 159, opting for a BMW, and I think car choice is going to be rather sporadic as well. You see a Ferrari here for Nicholas Sykes, Dominic Angeligio also opting for the Ferrari, a BMW again for Ilya Speaker at Rockefeller Racing, another BMW, that's Rob Rodriguez Jr., Brandon Louvier opting for a Porsche. That I think is the first time we've seen him in a Porsche.
Yeah, I would agree so as well. And Andrew, I feel like this is going to be a fantastic, opportunity to see what each driver chooses as a car, because obviously, the Roval is unforgiving, but it can also be very fast in an unforgiving car. We all know the nature of the Audi, maybe the Lamborghini as well, of being in unforgiving cars, maybe in the McLaren. So we might see drivers going for bold choices to make up a few tenths of a second, and we might see drivers going with a little bit safer choices. Maybe the Mercedes we're not going to see too much around, but the BMW certainly is one of them. As you can see now, the number 77 of Diego Ari just exiting the Hammerhead, heading into the Redneck roller coaster.
He's in a different car than the Audi for the first time all season.
Oh yeah, that's true as well. So interesting. So there you go. Maybe a safer choice as well, Andrew. Just, it's better to score some points sometimes than risking everything risking everything, gambling.
Oh, and Chris Winstone backs that car into turn 6, goes for a bit of a slide, and the Ferrari, it looks like, maybe not as safe as we once thought. BMW there for Milan Harris, Clarence Rosa, one of the few McLarens I think we'll see tonight. Joshua Tucker is in a Ferrari, but not on track. There's Philip Paterka, also in a 488. Sean Patterson, also in a 488. David Stevenson, also in a Ferrari. Joshua Benjamin, also in a Ferrari. So a lot more Ferraris than I actually would have expected tonight. Hey, there's a 4-ring Audi R8. Kenneth Michael in that Audi, and he, of course, had that flip at Zolder a week ago that was so spectacular to watch. Unless you were him, that's Ronaldo Carlos there, though, in a BMW. That name kind of tripped me up. Bobby Flack out there in a BMW as well. Brent Kingcott in a BMW, and Mike Braun goes purple that lap, as Kingcott will go 5th on the board. Kerry Corcoran still in a Ferrari, but I think that number 8 Budweiser car is certainly appropriate here tonight.
Yeah, it certainly feels at home, doesn't it, Andrew? Pretty sure he's going to try to make the number 8 proud. There we go. We have a Mercedes, Armando Bejaran, in his 105. And Andrew, it looks pretty average out. I think we have more Ferraris than any other manufacturer, as Rob Rodriguez now beats that lap time by around 0.3 of a second. And it's going to be interesting to see what the pros are going to bring, because last time out, I was here at least in the Red Bull Ring. The Pro-Am field had one dominant car, the amateur field had one dominant car, and then the Pro and Pro-Am, well, they completely came out with a completely different car choice. So we're just going to have to wait and see what those guys are going to have in store. But tonight seems like a bit of a Ferrari dominant field.
Definitely a lot of Ferraris. I think just going for a pretty neutral car. Let's bring up the ticker on the left side of your screen. Rob Rodriguez fastest so far, Dan Willow second, then Mike Braun, Milan Harris, and Brandon Louvier. Blaine Sparling populating the top 10 so far in qualifying, but still a long ways to go. And still a large portion of the field that has not taken a time. Diego Era up to second.
I was just going to mention that good lap for him, 1.5 tenths behind Rob Rodriguez. So he's doing good. Still time to find, but the time is there. We're going to have to wait and see. And Andrew, something about Charlotte as well is the, really short qualifying session. These drivers only have a handful of laps, and they're done quite quickly. You can see the time is only a 1:15. So, yeah, I think we might see a lot of drivers finishing up their qualifying efforts and just taking a few extra laps to get used to the track, getting their confidence built up, which I think is extremely important around here. And, yeah, we're going to see plenty more. As you can see now, Dobbs making his way through the Redneck roller coaster, going up and then down and then up again. Jeff Castillo looks like he's back in the pit lane, and Sparling looks like he's about to finish another lap.
On the contrary, he's only onto the backstretch now, heading to the backstretch chicane, so he's still got a lot of racing to go. This chicane is rather tough, especially in a GT3 car. The ABS sometimes helps you, sometimes hurts you. It's going to chatter your braking and force you to go a little deeper into the corner than you really want to, I think. At least in a lot of cases when you push into the car. Back yourself up a little bit, you can get a better exit. And that certainly also stands true. I was trying to think about it again for the hammerhead. So if we can get somebody that's into the hammerhead here in a moment, what we can really show it. Oh, this is a good look at the front stretch chicane here from Marco Garcia. And a good look at how that Ferrari handles things. Back up onto the oval. Bobby Flack just went fastest. So if Bobby Flack is fast, let's watch Bobby Flack and see what he's doing. There's one particular technique you can run through the hammerhead to kind of coast the car. Let's see what he does. He's pretty much doing that. He's able to get back to power real nicely. Now this is lap 3, so the tires are pretty well up to temp. But he's keeping the car nice and wound down in the hammerhead, and I think that's really important, JP, to not try and rush through that turn 3, that first apex, to let it kind of coast through, let it kind of float, so you can get that long, or get the power down and get that good exit for that long backstretch.
Absolutely. What you're looking for the hammerhead is essentially one smooth motion of turn-in. You don't want to, carry too much speed, having to apply brakes, apply more turn-in. You just want to do a smooth arc through the corner, and that's exactly what we saw. Because now Louvier looks like he's finishing up his lap entry. There you go. I got that one correctly. And he's coming up to the final chicane. And we're going to have to see how that Porsche tackles those curbs. And that's one thing as well, Andrew. We're going to have to see drivers tackling curbs if they do want to extract the most amount of time possible on the racetrack. Unfortunately, you have to be aggressive, and that is a game of chess.
Watching Louvier roll through the hammerhead. He got back on power a little bit in the center, which, again, I'm concerned about for these guys, especially with a thick setup, medium downforce setup. I really think they're going to push a whole lot, and if you want to keep the front tires under you, you'll want to wait through that hammerhead and get back to power. It's going to be earlier, but actually later, because you're not hitting the throttle in between those two apexes. We'll see how these drivers handle that this evening. So far, most of them opting for at least a breathe of the throttle, which isn't too bad usually through that complex. Here's Philip Padurka on board. 30 seconds so far out of 34 cars. Let's see if he can improve.
Definitely will want to improve. You can see now making his way through the backstretch chicane. Now on the exit, using a bit of the AstroTurf, I guess you can say, on the outside, just as he rejoins the oval bank, and you can see the sunset beautifully, kind of blinding the driver a little bit as he lines himself up for the final chicane, kind of using a little bit of that grass on entry, using a bit of those curbs, getting as close as you can to the wall, coming up, and unfortunately he does not improve, Andrew, so that might be his starting position.
There's Adolfo Perez. He's been good lately, but not so great last week at Zolder. Kind of had to come to the field via attrition. Might have to do the same thing this evening, JP. Currently 26th on the board. He's trying to move up. Run through the paint there. Trying to move up, but it's going to take a lot here.
It definitely will have to take a lot. It's going to have to take a lot of confidence again through this backstretch chicane. We're going to have to wait and see how much he tackles Andrew. And I think, if you're in this position, you might as well tackle it very hard. But unfortunately, he takes it a bit too safely. He does improve, though, by 4/10 of a second. He moves up only to 25th, though, so only one position gain.
Back on board with Louvier for the backstretch chicane. Late braking comes up off the bottom of the track there. Pops the curbs in the Porsche. Back to power, running through the paint. I thought he was going to try and stay on the apron there for a moment. Definitely keeping the car as low down the racetrack as he can. Skirting with the apron there. He'll come around and finish up his qualifying run. Actually, no, he's already extended past his allotted amount of laps, so he's practicing right now. Zachary Rosar back on the track. He's also gone past his lap count. Let's see who might still be on a run. I don't think anybody else is still on a run. Sonny Brown could technically, but he's pitted, so I'd imagine that he likely had an off and towed back to the pit line. But here's Zachary Rosar back up onto the oval.
And obviously, as you mentioned, just getting practice in, that's just the nature. You're going to get done through your 3 laps really, really quickly. In around 3 minutes, 3-4 minutes. And you can see this might just be it for him. Looks like he might be taking a toll. And, with only 25 seconds left, this is pretty much getting your car dialed in, getting yourself dialed in to the racetrack, Andrew. And that's all that matters, just trying to erase any bit of, I mean, just trying to remove any doubts that you have on the car, just having to trust it 100%, and that's all you're gonna need, Andrew. If you don't have 100% confidence in your car, you're gonna struggle tonight.
Nicholas Sykes up onto the oval as qualifying expires, and we will get ready for 40 minutes, almost said 30 minutes from the Porsche Cup cars, 40 minutes of amateur racing action at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Let's go ahead and go down trackside and meet our starting grid. Bobby Flack on pole this evening at the Charlotte Motor Speedway in car 106. I'm going to call that a bit of a surprise. Rob Rodriguez goes second in qualifying. Diego Eda will start from third. Dan Willis completes your front two rows starting from fourth position. Mike Braun will start from the fifth spot. Ilya Speaker sixth. Brian Long rolls off from the seventh position with Milan Harris eighth. And to back up your top 10, you've got Marco Garcia and Brandon Louvier.
In 11th place, we're going to have Sonny Brown. Starting alongside of him, we're going to have the 177 of Bryn Kenkott. 13th place in starting row number 7, we're going to have Blaine Sparling in the 159 and the number 37 of Chris Winstone in 14th place. 15th place, we're going to have Alan Dobbs in his number 28 and the number 22 of Ronaldo Carlos in 16th place. 17th place, we're going to have Scott Angelo in his 268 machine and the 199 of Zachariah Roser in 18th place. Row number 10, Andrew, we're going to have Jeff Castillo and Dominic Angelicchio.
Starting from 21st, you'll find Joshua Benjamin in car 78 with car 112. That is now not a Porsche. Joshua Tucker over to a Ferrari this evening. Kenneth Michael rolls off from the 23rd position in car 19 with David Stevenson alongside in car 13. Starting 25th, you'll find Adolfo Perez in a Porsche with Austin Hodel in a Ferrari. 27th, you'll find James Colborne in a Ferrari. And hey, there's that McLaren, Clarence Rosa in car 71. Starting 29th, it's Nicholas Sykes in a Ferrari with Armando Bejaran alongside in a Mercedes.
31st place, we're going to have a Ferrari of Kerry Corrigan. Alongside of him, we're going to have Philip Berderka in his number 70. Sean Patterson is going to line up 33rd, Andrew, and Billy Bowerman in 34th position on his number 2. And do we have 35 cars? No, there you go, 34 only.
Here we go, cars are rolling off the grid, 34 cars in total. Now, it doesn't look like Billy Bowerman took to the grid, so he will either not start this race or start from pit lane. This is a cool thing. You don't usually see too many grids like this. As one car is not moving at all. That is Ronaldo Carlos not rolling away from the grid. Now finally gets going. That's going to jumble things up. And Armando Bejaran did not get the memo. He rolled early, just made contact with somebody. Armando, I was trying to find him actually. Armando is not where he should be. I think he rolled really early.
Yeah, he really did. Now he's going to have to wait for everybody to go back past him. So we already have a bit of controversy even before the green flag drops, Andrew. And it looks good. I like that standing still start before you actually start rolling. I'm not quite sure. The old Le Mans style start. I really love that detail. And yeah, top 2 full front row for Ferrari. Then we for BMW row number 2, we're gonna have the Ferraris, Andrew. It's gonna be a question of who gets the tires up to temperature, who has the early confidence in the car. That could really be a deciding factor.
Now, it's that concrete wall on the right side that the camera is kind of perched on that we're talking about in turns 7 and 8. This is where we're at, turn 7 exit, looking at turn 8 to go back up onto the oval. Watch that concrete wall later on in this race. I guarantee you multiple cars will hit it today, and that's going to disable all of them. If you hit that wall, you're likely doing some race-ending damage to your machine. We've seen it time and time again here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. Let's go ahead and take one more look at that track map, JP. What jumps out at you? What seems like the most important corner here?
I feel like turns number 8 is going to be really important, but also turn 17, Andrew. If you just miss a bit of 16 and 17, you're really going to be on the back foot towards turn number 1, and that is where we might see a bit of overtaking. So we need to keep an eye out for each and every single corner because incidents are bound to happen on it. But I feel like if you want to overtake, turn 17 on the exit might be your spot.
I'm going to have to go with turn 8. Yeah, it's just so important here at Charlotte. It gets you on to... Well, it's essentially a straightaway from turn 9 all the way into turn 11. The oval portion here, it's all wide open. So if you can get a good exit onto turn 8, your lap is going to go really nicely. It gets you in a good headspace, I think, for the rest of the lap into the back to chicane. You're already kind of in your rhythm. You feel pretty good, got a good exit, and you're going to try and get that same kind of exit back up onto the oval for NASCAR 3 and 4, and then into the front stretch chicane. Otherwise, I would say turn 1. That starts off your entire infield. If you miss turn 1, you're just going to be behind the mark, I think, the rest of the lap. And definitely, you want to get a good turn 1, get into the infield real nicely, and start your lap real nicely. 34 cars headed down to the front stretch chicane as the flag man, Barney, gets ready for this one. This is going to be wild. Under the lights at Charlotte Motor Speedway, green flag waves. It's going to be a hectic front stretch chicane start. Already some jumbling there out of the chicane. And down to turn 1 and even turn 2. The entire field goes. Look at them into the hammerhead. Oh, crashing. Flintstone's around. Rosar got a piece. We continue on, though. Down to turn 7 already. A few cars getting on by. Does anybody hit it this first lap?
No, everybody taking quite a bit cautious, and you can see the distance that they're allowing themselves to have over the concrete barriers. Some drivers barely touching that blue line, but most of them really far away. Now as we head into the backstretch chicane, well, everybody kind of single follow. We see a move, looks like for 6th place. Does it stick? Looks like not quite. And you can see how close. Oh, one car really close. 2 cars really close to that tire barrier, the safer barrier, but looks like everybody avoided contact.
Now to the front stretch chicane, and here's a good look at the exit of as they come back to the checkered, well, the start-finish line rather, not the checkered flag, but to complete lap number 1. Race leader Bobby Flagg, and a few of these guys going wide, popping the curbs. It's going to be a fun one tonight.
Oh, absolutely, Andrew. I know how much you love Roval. I know I love this track as well. I'm not quite sure about the drivers if they're going to love by the end of the night, but it sure is one beautiful sight to see the cars going at it. And oh, we already have Dan Willis, looks like going a little bit wide on the exit of the hammerhead. He's going to have to yield that position.
Milan Harris! Milan Harris takes them both out.
No.
Oh my goodness, what? Whoa. Milan Harris now perched up on the wall in the fencing. You know, Karma is a beach, but that's a little different. I didn't think we'd see a car beach on the wall.
That was a good one, but wow. I mean, you mentioned a flip last week. Unfortunately, I missed it live, but well, looks like
you
it
get
just
another
got
one early again.
Yeah, there you go.
So Diego goes on by Dan Willis with that slight mistake on a turn 4. Milan, I don't know where he was going, to be honest with you, and then backs it in, gets Dan Willis, and how does he flip? Gets hit. Oh my goodness. He gets hit.
And unfortunately, that's it for him. Wow.
I've never seen anything quite like it.
No, me neither, Andrew. That is something to see, actually. And it's unfortunate that it happened this early on as well. I mean, second lap only running, and you can see here he just carries way too much. I don't know where he was going. Yeah, and then he loses the backhand, kind of bumps. Kind of what we saw from NASCAR this week at the dirt track. And then, well, just tries to go forward, but it looks like a car was trying to avoid him as well.
Wow. Alrighty then, we do have more incidents. Kenneth Michael back in trouble again this week, and well, hopefully he stays here for this shot as we come back to him. Yeah, that is a wall over there. You don't want to be into a wall, and that looks like that's the hammerhead as well. So problems here for Kenneth Michael. He'll get it back rolling, but let's go back and find out what happened to him and how he got in this position in the first place. And it's going to start really in turn 1 where he gets off sequence, but then you'll really see it in turn 2 where just this line of problems starts. It's almost out to that wall, so he's a little bit slower now, and oh, there was a car behind him, Mike Braun, who had trouble, and Michael backs it into turn 3, has to stop it there.
Yeah, that's just an Audi doing Audi type things, and unfortunately for him, you see the 107 as well had troubles on the exit of 2. So, yeah, quite a hectic first sector, Andrew.
See what happens here for Mike Braun. He's battling with Dominic Angelicchio here. And then comes Austin Hodel. I think there's contact. No contact. He just backs there, just brings the car around. Very similar issue.
Yeah, but I mean, very different cars. Normally, the Ferrari doesn't do that. The Audi is gonna get loose on the entry of corners normally, and unfortunately, the Ferrari just did on the exit. Looks like the backhand was not having any of that. And,
Alan Dobbs in trouble. Oh no. My! Zachariah Rosar goes around, and Dominic Angelico misses it over the curbs. Rosar still turned around at the hammerhead. Yeah, incident review, that's going to be most of our job this evening.
And just like BSR early on today, Andrew, the stewards might have quite a bit of trouble tonight.
See what happens here for Alan Dobbs. He's in the 10th spot, at least at the start of the lap. Chasing, it looks like, a couple of the Radness cars just ahead of Brian Long. The car was already unsettled, and oh, Brian Long, another really optimistic. I don't know where you're going there. Good miss by Jeff Castillo.
Yeah, really close miss. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And a bad rejoin.
You know what? I'm going to be entirely honest with you. That was a terrible. That's one of the worst rejoins I've seen at Charlotte. Oof.
I mean, if he was trying to flick the car around, you could easily tell, but unfortunately, traction control was not going to let those rear tires spin in. You're just going to take
already off the track. I don't know why you drove back on. I cranked the wheel left, not right.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, maybe if he just turned on the traction control, that could have been a much quicker spin. But yeah, unfortunately for him, just a bad choice. And luckily for him, Andrew, looks like not a lot of damage, but an unfortunate incident.
Back up onto the oval, the leaders go. Bobby Flack leading, Rob Rodriguez Jr. second, and that's the gap. Let's see, that is the gap somewhere early in the field from 4th to 5th. That gap of no cars was what we saw. Brent Kingcott is in the 5th spot. To your top 4 within 4 seconds, and it's another 7 back to Brent Kingcott and Sonny Brown for 5th and 6th. Sparling there as well. Wow.
Yeah, big separation between these guys already. Crazy to see. This is Diego Area. You can see he's chasing a speaker ahead, and this might be the best race we've seen so far, Andrew, from the number 6. Currently running an overall podium. Really good to see. I don't think we've seen. I mean, I don't recall seeing him all the way up to the top 5 on the last few races.
Well, you know, what's really going to baffle us about this race is, about this entire round, is a lot of these guys are going to have varying levels of experience here at the Roval. Of course, NASCAR comes here. This is a NASCAR track. Road series don't usually visit Charlotte. This is usually a NASCAR track and NASCAR track only, so we'll see some drivers that maybe have some NIS experience or NASCAR A, B, or even C license experience that have run at the Roval and NASCAR stock cars, but maybe haven't run here in a GT car before, and you know, vice versa. We might even see some drivers who actually have some GT experience here before, but not NASCAR experience. We're going to see varying levels of drivers who are comfortable here, I think. And the guys that have run NASCAR races here, I'd imagine, should excel a bit more than usual. And, you know, obviously practice makes perfect in any regard, but I'd imagine those NASCAR races are going to help as Brandon Louvier is turned around in turn 6.
Unfortunate. He started in 10th position, and you can see from just a ticker of the car, he was running the 2030, and I'm pretty sure this might have cost him a few extra position. And this was just on the entry of the Redneck roller coaster, so we're going to have to see what happened to him. And,
oh, Sykes got slowed up, and he just tried to bind the car up and slow down. And all right. Oh!
Yeah. That was really close avoidance right there from everybody.
Let's get back. We'll get one more look at this. This would be a fun one to get a replay of. So we'll go on board with Louvier. This will be our first good shot at things. And let's slow this down in a second. When it goes for the spin, let's slow this down now. You see how close he already got to the wall there in turn 6. Let's really slow it down now. And as these cars come by, this is the nose cam. We'll see how close that car got to the nose. Right about sometime now. We'll see it eventually, I promise. There's the rear. There's the car coming by. Look how close of a miss this is, both in front and behind. There goes Sean Patterson, and there goes that other car. That other car didn't quite get the greatest view, but you get the point. I just...
Close.
Yeah, putting a camel through a needle, or something like that, through the eye of a needle.
There you go, but yeah. Really close avoidance that could have been much worse for all 3 drivers, but luckily it didn't. This is the battle for the lead, is it? Bobby Flack and Robert Rodriguez? Yes.
It is. Bobby Flack leading the way.
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. So, yeah, 2 BMWs leading the way. They look quite comfortable, Andrew. You can see the gap between first and second, between first and third, actually, has grew to 4.6 seconds. So, yeah, the battling between number 6 and number 77 really slowed them both down and allowed the leaders to go through. And Andrew, I don't think there's any harder track on the schedule that is, I mean, there's any other track that is harder to overtake than Charlotte.
In GT3 cars, yeah, it's going to be tough. You do get three really good opportunities, actually. Just breaking off of the oval in general, between the two chicanes and turn one, those are good opportunities. But you do have to play a little bit of follow the leader through the infield. So I could go either way on it. I think if you set the guy up right, you can get by him in the right spot. But it does seem like the draft is going to be relatively negligible today. Already, the driver's not really able to hang on to somebody via the draft. So maybe it is going to be that difficult to pass. I would think, I guess from seeing NASCAR races here, it's usually pretty easy to pass. But also, that sometimes involves moving a guy, and you don't want to do that in a GT3 car. So we'll see how that changes, how that impedes the race, as we're a little over 10 minutes in. On board with Rob Rodriguez Jr. There is a battle picking up with Dan Willis, though, and Blaine Sparling. This is for 7th.
Yeah, really close battle, and Sparling is quite close to Brown as well, to Sonny Brown just ahead. So this is a cool 4-car battle. You can see further behind as well, Angelo and Brian Long. So they're picking up, Andrew, and I feel like we're going to see a bit of movement as well, as usual, too, on the pit lane as soon as we hit the pit stop timer. So as soon as, you know, the pit window opens, we might see some drivers gambling. I doubt it, but we could see, and this is the battle we were mentioning. This is Brian Long and Scott Angelo. This is a battle for 9th place. You can see how close already, Andrew. They're getting to the wall on the exit of 8. Things are going to get interesting.
Look at how good Charlotte looks lit up like this. We're only into the early evening, or early night hours, if you will. It's not even dark yet. But the headlights are on. The stadium lights are on. This place is getting lit up, and it looks fantastic. Brian Long closed again here on Scott Angelo. He's got Ronaldo Carlos not too far behind. Really not far behind at all, as Joshua Benjamin deals with, actually Jeff Castillo deals with David Stevenson behind. You can see Castillo was just ahead, or just behind other Stevenson, has gotten by that car of Stevenson, and now has the 13th spot. But David not going to look back.
No, not going to look back. Not going to be close enough to go for a move, but you can see how close they get, Andrew, as they head into the final chicane. Not close enough to make a move through turn number 1, but Stevenson really telling Benjamin that he's right there, and, well, don't make a single mistake because I'm so close, I'm going to pass you. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how much pressure he's going to be able to put on the driver ahead. If he can force the driver ahead into a mistake, just going to have to wait and see.
Stevenson working on Castillo. Benjamin's a little further up the road, and Angelico a little further behind. So 12th through 15th in your picture. And those top 4 are starting to split up. Bobby Flack now has a second over Rob Rodriguez. Ilya Speaker has a second and change over Diego Eda. I think your best battle in the top 10 is easily Scott Angelo, Brian Long. Here we go, back up onto the backstretch and into the chicane, and it looks like, I think Scott Angelo got the turn 7 wall this lap.
Maybe. That car definitely got a turbo exit on the, yeah, you can see damage already there. So, yeah, confirmation that he may have got the wall, and you can see, Andrew, how much time you lose, how much straight line speed you lose.
He already had a lot of damage, actually. Let's go back a little further. He's already got a lot of damage to that right side. This is 2 laps prior. He's been in the wall previously. Let's see if we can find it. At some point, he got the wall really hard. We'll try and find it one more time. He might have also gotten it in the early goings. At some point, he has really hit that wall a ton.
And yeah, that damage is going to carry out to him until the moment he pits. And I wonder how much, I mean, luckily for him, it's difficult to overtake on this racetrack, Andrew, but if you have so much damage that your straight line is, well, affected, that's going to be a problem. As it looks like Dobbs already came down in the pit, so getting it, well, rid early, it's obviously a gamble because your car is going to be a little bit heavier than your competition. So especially on a track like this, sometimes a lighter car, I mean, 90% of the time, a lighter car is going to handle a bit better, and it's not going to put so much strain on the tires. So an early gamble, we're going to have to wait to see if it works.
Battle for 7th, no, 5th rather. Well, I guess 5th through 7th, because Blaine Sparling is not far behind, but Brent King caught Sonny Brown and Blaine Sparling. Brown just got a piece of the wall. Really got to be careful with the walls here, I feel like, tonight. It's so easy to go out there and just tap them and think you're not doing a whole lot of damage. Get out of the front of the chicane there, turn 2, turn 7, of course, up onto the oval at turn 8. There's a lot of places to hit the right side of the car on walls, and you might not think you're doing a lot of damage, but you definitely are over time.
Oh, absolutely. And these cars are quite sensitive to damage, so...
Turn 6 there as well.
Yeah, you can hit that inside wall really easily if you underestimate. And oh, yeah, you can see how close they are getting to the walls, Andrew. And it's only, I think, at the end of the race, we're really going to see drivers attacking. I'm excited to see as well the pros, how much they're going to attack those walls. And, yeah, it's just going to be a game of how close you can get to the wall without touching it. Because as soon as you touch, well, you're going to be in big, big trouble.
Armando Bear on here defending over Austin Hodel, who runs wide at turn 6, and he's into the wall on the exit of the corner. Not where I would have thought that I would have seen somebody hit the wall today, but I get some damage and will fall out of the 18th position down to 21st. And potentially further, and nearly gets Chris Winstone there, as it looks like these two will now be in a fight. Winstone loses that spot, so Odell back into 20th.
Yeah, minimize a little bit of the damage. You can see how much on the back foot you are if you try to go out of turn number 8 on the outside. There's really not a lot of space. Now Colborn is really using this opportunity to get really close, Andrew. And oh! That's how close sometimes you get. The back end is gonna say no, no, no. And from attacking to get one position, he's gonna lose 2 maybe.
Yeah, there's Kenneth Michael now on the inside, goes on by. But they're not done yet, I don't think. Colborn, can he find a way into the chicane to try and put pressure on? No, Michael will take the spot and now chase Sean Patterson. Cars in the pit lane. Well, here's Joshua Benjamin into the pits. Kind of surprised by that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, me too. That's quite interesting to see this early on. And a longer, 2.5 seconds longer almost than Dobbs that we just saw. So taking a little bit extra fuel as well. Maybe a bit of damage fixing. But yeah, the number 78 rejoins on the racetrack. And looks like he's going to rejoin outside of the top 20. But yeah, 24th actually he's going to rejoin. You can see now Brandon Louvier chasing now Dobbs, who just came down in the pits lane. Andrew, and 2 Porsches. Fighting on the Roval, Andrew. The sun is coming down. The headlights are turned on, and it has been a lot of fun. Almost halfway through the race.
This is for 26th spot, and you're right, 2 Porsches going after it. Not many Porsches in this series, but this is 2 of the 3 that I believe are here today. Louvier, not a great entry up onto the oval, but he'll try and use that draft to drive back up to Alan Dobbs. As Rodriguez continues his pursuit of Bobby Flack, and this is absolutely a surprise round, I think, from Bobby Flack. We have not seen much success like this for Team Empire at all. We've seen a whole lot of bad luck, a whole lot of heartbreak for them, but this is very cool to see for Team Empire to put one car up here like this. And it's Bobby Flack of all guys. This is a very, very cool turnaround. Now, he's not been bad this season. If I go over the points and kind of look over things, he is not, well, actually, I don't see him in the top 20.
Yeah, you're right. He's not in the top 20. So yeah, this is going to be a really good turnaround for him, Andrew. Could be a turning point. Obviously, we're only going to have 2 extra rounds in the season, but still, I mean, coming off one of the hardest tracks we're going to have on the whole schedule and winning, that is in 22 minutes times, Andrew, might as well knock on wood a little bit, because we know how our curse works. But yeah, so far he's doing a fantastic job. He hasn't cracked under pressure. We've seen that gap really going up and down, you know, essentially like a roller coaster, but he has been able to nurse the car through all the challenges. And obviously he still has 20 more minutes of racing to go. He still has a pit stop to nail. Still plenty more hard work to do, but so far it has been absolutely excellent.
It's always a good time when you don't have any information in the gap ahead graphic. Bobby Flack, no gap ahead to anybody because he is leading this race. The gap behind, though, to Rodriguez, it's moved around a little bit. Earlier on, it was about a half second. Then it was a little over a second. Now it's right around a second. It was just under a second, so picked up a couple of tenths there at the bus stop as he heads back around NASCAR 3 and 4. Now, for Sonny Brown, it's a very different story. He's only got a couple of tenths back to Blaine Sparling as they head through the backstretch chicane. See these couple of BMWs sparring here. Pun intended.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Right, that was it. Oh.
Bobby Flack has just dropped out of the session. You're kidding me.
I'm never saying another driver's name. Ever. I don't believe... Is he fully disconnected or is he just blinked out?
We'll need to wait on Emerson's confirmation, the actual packet loss message, but This will be a look at it here. Let's just confirm that he just dropped out and didn't hit a wall or something and immediately Alt F4. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. The worst of luck for leaders this season. It's insane. It is. Oh, man. And he's not back in the standings yet. I dare say that's a full disconnect. Oh, boy. Well, the good news is Rob Rodriguez Jr. now has a healthy lead. 4 seconds back to Ilya Speaker and Diego Era. So for him, he's loving life. Sonny Brown now defends the top 5 position over Blaine Sparling and Dan Willis. And you know what, JP? I'll save you a little bit. I'm going to go with my sparring joke, my little pun there, and say that's what disconnected. I'll say that's what disconnected Bobby Flack. I can't believe that.
I mean, it's unbelievable. We have a saying in Portuguese. I'm not pretty sure how it is in English, but the silence is absolutely deafening. And I feel like that's the reaction we just had on the commentary booth. It's just unbelievable. Luckily for us, Andrew, we have other battles to follow, and this one seems to be a great one as even more drivers are having issues. This is the number 70, Baderka, just outside of the backstretch chicane.
He just had... No, that's actually up onto turn 8. That is a big issue for him. He did not look that way just a few moments ago. Let's take a look back at it. He was just ahead of Alan Dobbs in 23rd spot. You can see Alan's Porsche just behind him. Up over turn 6 and turn 7. Oh, look at that. Got the wall. And Dobbs, I noticed Dobbs spinning, and oh my goodness. Alan Dobbs, I'm sure, has a lot of damage out of that as well. Yes, right in the center of the nose. That Porsche is definitely got an underbite.
It definitely has, and he came down in the pit lane, Andrew, just a few laps prior. Really unfortunate to see, but that was a pinball effect. That was straight up bowling, looks like. And really unfortunate for him as we cut straight back to live, and look at this action right here.
Here we go, Sparling and Willis chasing down Sonny Brown. Willis down to the inside of the front stretch chicane. He gets that spot away, moves up to 6th. Nice move there from car 127. Now Sparling drops back to the hands of Brian Long, who takes a look to the inside and thinks better of it. And Willis now has a chance to stretch that Ferrari's legs and get after Sonny Brown, who's also putting together quite a race. Sparling comes out as they pass. It looks like James Colborn there out of the pit lane. That was very close on corner exit, or pit exit rather. And you know what? Diego's starting to look like he's getting a run together here, JP. Could he be on his way to the pit lane? We usually see drivers get real good before they pit.
Yeah, obviously that's, we keep an eye always on Andre Melchers to see when he starts putting purple laps, because that means he's about to come to the pit lane. We're going to have to see if Diego is going to start thinking about pitting, maybe gambling. But the problem is, Andrew, if you're running so up front, if you pit early, you're most likely going to come back in traffic. So it's going to end up really biting you. Adolfo Perez looks like he just had enough, maybe between turns 1 and 2. I cannot see substantial amount of damage on that Porsche. At least on the back end, I think there might be some. But yeah, looks like he just had enough.
He does have some rear end damage. Went around for a bit of a spin in turns 1 and 2. We'll get a look at it here. Watch that red Porsche. Turn 1 looks okay for him, but it just starts to over-rotate on exit, going over those bumps, and that's almost a classic Porsche issue. Backs it into the wall. You've got to be cognizant and get those brakes down early. Yeah,
he really unfortunate to see that damage. He's going to try to, and obviously he will go back into racing conditions, but yeah, really odd to see, really sad to see as well, injured drivers making mistakes on their own. It really ends up costing them. As you can see, this battle again, Dan Willis looks like he has not gotten rid of Sparling just behind, and this battle for 6th place is definitely going to still come alive. Willis, he started on 3rd position, 3rd, 4th position, so he's trying to get back to the starting one. Obviously, after his damage and mistakes really ended up costing quite a bit. We're going to have to see if Sparling can get that 6th place back.
Odell and Corcoran are on the pit lane. They're 20th and 21st now and dropping through the order. You're watching, though, 5th through 9th? Maybe 10th? 9th. 5th through 9th.
Yeah, Scott Angelo a bit further behind, around 4 seconds behind these guys. And you can see Ronaldo Carlos is the last driver on this pack right here. And oh, there you go, Brian. Is that Brian Long? Yes, it is, isn't it? Coming down to the pit lane. We're going to have to wait and see, Andrew, what's his timer is going to be. We saw drivers making 10 seconds pit stops. We saw another driver making a 12.5 seconds. We're going to have to see what the 12 for Sim Racing for Simpletons is going to do on the pit lane. Dominic Angelico as well coming down to the pit lane.
2 cars in here as Long makes it into his box. We're looking at about 10 to 12 seconds here for Brian Long. Gets back on the power, waiting on the car to be, yep, there we go. 11.18 seconds. And for Angelico, it's 10.75. So right around that 11-second mark, it looks like. Just a little over 10, a little under 12. Seems to be the sweet spot. Here we go, back on board with Diego, chasing down, well, trying to keep touch now with Ilya Speaker, who's starting to drive away. Inside of 15 minutes to go, JP, and I think we've almost understated the fact that the issue for Bobby Flack, the disconnection there for Bobby Flack, gives this guy, Rob Rodriguez, the lead again. And if I recall correctly, he didn't win last week at Zolder, but he won 2 weeks ago at the Red Bull Ring. And so he goes by and spun Alan Dobbs in turn 4.
Yeah. There you go. So Dobbs, unfortunately, getting even more mistakes, little bit more bad luck. And Rob Rodriguez, I mean, Andrew, it's kind of difficult to say that the win was gifted. He definitely had the pace to keep up with the leader, but yeah, I mean, under the circumstances, I guess you can see the gap between him and Speaker ahead. You can see 5.8 seconds. So he has been dominant, and I feel like this win is going to be well deserved for him as well. As long as anything happens on the final 13 minutes, 14 minutes. And you can see now Brian Cancott coming out of the pits. Then Willis just came out of the pits as well. You can see the Ferrari being fixed. Angelo as well. And, well, looks like the pit lane action, Andrew, is definitely picking up.
That it is. Several cars already back out. It looks like that wave of pits have subsided. What do you think Diego pits here?
It's going to be difficult to say. He has to essentially find a pocket of air to come out of, because if he comes out of any other car, he's going to be losing a bit of time. You can see Angelico gets... was that Angelico? Oh, he hits a bit of the wall. Will he save it? Yes. Oh, that was close. But yeah, he's going to have... Right now, he has a bit of pocket air. 1.5 seconds between him and the Speaker. And I don't know, Andrew. I feel like he's going to have to try to undercut maybe. But he's going to have to maybe gamble on fuel. I feel like that's going to be the winning strategy for him.
Meanwhile, a little further up the road, or well, I guess further behind, actually, Sonny Brown, Blaine Sparling, Ronaldo Carlos, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Now, King Khan and Willis pitted out of this group and are a little ways behind them. But pit lane, it seems like it's not going to take very long tonight. The gap between Sparling and Willis, for example, is only 25 seconds. Sparling's still working on Sonny Brown here. That's not a very long pit delta.
No, absolutely not. Really not, because the track is short as well, Andrew. It's only a minute and 15, if I'm not mistaken, a minute and 20. Yeah, it's really short track, really short, I guess, track time, lap time. So you're not going to be losing quite a bit, but it's still, it's 25 seconds you're going to lose. So you can calculate a bit on the relative delta. And you can see, well, a few further battles with 11 minutes to go, Andrew. The leaders are definitely stretching their fuel mileage.
Well, here comes Blaine Sparling now, as you mentioned that. He'll come down onto the pit lane and take service. They're going deep, I can't disagree, but, at a place like Charlotte, there's opportunities to save fuel, picking up draft off the lap cars, lifting and coasting into corners, and really I think at Charlotte you've got to do that more than most other road courses. You've got to lift and coast into some corners, let the car pace itself, and we've seen that for those that have been fast so far tonight. Jeff Castillo also on the pit lane this lap, by the way. Rob Rodriguez Jr., though, race leader. Of course, father to Bryce Rodriguez, a pro driver now that he's been promoted. And, the last few weeks, he's talked so much about how much Bryce, being his son, has helped him. That little father-son relationship and practicing week in, week out. Bryce giving Rob some tips. It's made a big difference here for Car 66.
Quite nice to see, isn't it, Andrew? I would love to see my dad putting on a sim rig and, well, just pedaling out on the racetrack. But yeah, unfortunately, that's not, I guess the thing everybody has. But, well, the Rodriguez, they definitely do, and I'm pretty sure they're both going to be really happy with the result if it continues to be like this. And so far, I mean, absolutely dominant. You can see 6 seconds to Eli Speaker, 17 seconds down to Diego area. So Diego's down to the pit lane, actually.
Yes, he is. Here comes Diego down to the pits. Ronaldo Carlos along with him.
So now both of them are going to be coming down to the pit lanes, maybe trying to gamble a little bit on fuel engine. And I feel like that's going to be the important shot. Diego with a 9-10 second pit stop. That's going to be a bit safe.
He's been underfueling for a while now.
Oh, yeah, bring King Cod as well. Carlos going for quite a long one, 11 seconds. He's going safe on fuel. And yeah, now only 2 drivers I feel like remain, at least on the top 5.
Here comes Armando Bejeron in his Mercedes. I'm glad that he's stuck with this Mercedes all season. I really like seeing that a driver is going a bit out of the box, going for a car they like, as opposed to just what's fastest. Really enjoy seeing that for Armando, and certainly appreciate that effort there for his Wahuka Racing entry. Here's our leader, though, Rob Rodriguez Jr. onto the pit lane. And Ilya Speaker will join him.
There you go. So now we're going to have to keep an eye out on the number 6 pit box timer, Andrew, and it's going to decide essentially who's going to finish second and who's going to finish third place. Sonny Brown as well. He's coming down the pit lane and he has a bit of damage to fix. Robert Rodriguez comes down, makes a full stop. I think he has enough gap, Andrew, to really go safe on fuel.
Yeah, he does. That said, he underfuels a little bit, I guess, assuming that he can spend less time in the pit lane. Oh, that's not going to help him. But maybe trying to underfuel and just save the rest of the run as Speaker overshot his box. He might have undershot his box, still been in reverse, and tried to go, and it's a 14-second stop there for Ilya. That is race rushing for him. Sonny Brown, 10.37 seconds. He will follow, it looks like, Armando out of the pit lane. So Armando well down the order then if he's ahead of one of the lead lap cars. Ilya Speaker, though, sorts out into the 4th position now, just behind Brett Kingcott by a little over a second.
Yeah, they came out pretty much side by side on the pit exit, and it looks like he had just to back off. Really unfortunate, Adrian. That's just how quickly your race can change. Number 19 looks like he's coming down the pit lane as well. And Dan Willis, I'm not pretty sure if you caught, Andrew, just went fastest.
Some weird battles across the racetrack, but I heard a couple of crunches as well, and I got concerned, but I think we're all okay. Diego made up a couple of seconds in the pit lane, it looks like, only 5 seconds back now of Rob Rodriguez Jr. And it's looking like a second place effort here for Diego. Ilya Speaker, he lost like 7 seconds.
Yeah, lost quite a bit of time. Really unfortunate as well, dropping not only from 2nd place, but 3rd as well, having to finish currently in 4th place. Only a second between him and King Cod. We're going to have to see if he can, reel him back in. Dan Willis absolutely flying the number 127, really trying to find some pace on the end, trying to find some positions, as we have Ronaldo Carlos right here battling with Sonny Brown just ahead, and this is a battle engine for 8th place.
Ronaldo working on Sonny. David Stevenson joins him in the top 10. Scott Angelo has dropped down to 11th ahead of Jeff Castillo. Dominic Angelicchio there in 13th. Joshua Benjamin 14th. Nicholas Sykes your top 15. Chris Winstone's working on Kerry Corcoran. That's for the 16th position. Let's go on board here with Winstone. He's had some troubles this evening, JP, but now working on car number 8. Could get back into the top 15 if things go right. He's going to make up about 4 seconds to do it.
It's going to be a big challenge, especially with only 6 minutes to go, Andrew. It's definitely still possible, but it's going to be
That's why I say if things go right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If things go extra right, I guess you can say.
Willis working on Speaker. Who's working on Kingcott. Willis has been fast his last few laps. You've seen the couple of purple laps check in for him. He's definitely getting those curbs through that front stretch chicane. He is abusing that car. And he's purple again, a 1:15.26. Let's go on board and see what he's doing here.
He's doing something extra right. He's really pushing this car to limit, and which is really fun to see. You saw how much he was attacking those curbs. You can see how smooth he is.
And he's
the
floating.
Hammerhead, so
he's floating that hammerhead, and he's going purple. I told you, floating that hammerhead letting the car do the work through there instead of trying to get back on the gas. Oh, and he's going to get loose out of 6, but letting the car float through 3 and 4 works so much better.
Yeah, absolutely. You're just going to get extra time. And, well, he just proved that. Unfortunately, he's going to drop a few tenths of a second to Speaker ahead. But, I mean, 5 minutes to go, Andrew. This is essentially a battle for third. This is a battle for third that Willis is watching right here. And he could definitely benefit from Speaker and King Cod going side by side.
King Cod a bit slow there through the chicane. Speaker not a ton faster. When we get back around to the hammerhead here, I want to take the onboard of Willis again and show you what I mean. Now, I won't say who, but somebody told me a while back that floating through the hammerhead here just works so much better, and they tried it first and in iRacing, as a matter of fact, is in a global MX-5, and then tried it later on in their own Mazda Miata, and they found it just floats the corner so much better. Watch the telemetry here, watch the gears, and watch the RPMs and the speed. He's not touching the throttle until he gets back here at the apex of 4, JP. He's able to put the power down sure-footedly and get back onto this backstretch. He's not hustling the car, just letting it float through the middle portion of those 2 corners there. When you get back out there, it's almost the reverse of the apex, right? When you get back out to the curving, the paint on the left side of the track, a lot of drivers get into the throttle. They think they have to hustle there between those 2 corners. No, let the car rest through there. Let the car coast. Let the car float. And it's in NASCAR, you call it rolling the center of the corner. In oval racing, that's what it is. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, he's just using the engine braking to get the car slowed down and not upsetting a lot of the balance of the car by using the brakes and using, obviously, the front brake bias that he has. But, yeah, he's doing a fantastic job, Andrew, and you can see the benefit from that. He's just really catching up to Speaker ahead on each and every single lap. But, unfortunately, he's on Charlotte. This is a very, very tricky track to try and overtake. Meanwhile, Rob Rodriguez taking not taking the flag, taking extra few laps. I mean, only 3 minutes and 40 to go, 7.5 second of a gap. That is amazing to see.
You can see now in full darkness just how it is through this infield. The light's definitely doing, well, the lights in the car is definitely doing some work. There's some of that ambient lighting from the stadium lights around the track, but those stadium lights, of course, are aimed at the oval for the Coke 600 and races like it. So not doing as much as you might think in the infield. Headlights definitely required, as he's going to come around and lap Kenneth Michael in a moment, opting to stay way up on the racetrack. 7.5 seconds back to Diego for second.
That's a crazy, and that's counting the mistake that we saw on the pit stop.
Yeah.
On the pit lane. I mean, it's just a crazy. Now the gap has really come down around half a second, but yeah, I mean, it's just a good pace from the number 66.
Dan Willis right back on Ilya's Speaker. Looking for 4th, and this is really the only battle on the racetrack. The next closest is Jeff Castillo in 11th and Dominic Angelicchio in 12th. And the next closest after that actually might be Brian Long and Sonny Brown. They're relatively close. Sonny Brown on the offensive here in the 115 and the 8th position, looking for 7th. And deep into the chicane there. That's going to blow this battle up. Brian Long scoots away now by over 7/10, it's going to look like. So big mistake there for Sonny.
Yeah, and Sonny just set the purple lap, the fast lap of the race, a few laps ago. And Ronaldo Carlos coming back to the pit lane, and that's a lot of damage to his car, Andrew. And on the final few minutes, you can see just a quick repair, fast repair, right? And he gets back on race pace. But unfortunately for him, that's going to have big costs.
That it is. He went a few laps with that damage as well. Let's see if we can find where it happened. I think it's going to be about a turn 7. So he was all over Sonny Brown earlier on, who is now chasing down Brian Long. Let's watch this issue here for car 22. And as he hit the wall here at 7, right there it is.
And I wonder, Andrew, if he was forced to come down maybe to suspension damage,
yeah,
or maybe even a meatball flag that's forced him to come down to the pit lane.
He's straight on the bend here.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's quite a lot of damage, and really unfortunate to see. You can see how much he's going to have to compensate on the... yeah, that's a lot of damage to even carry on for a few laps to go.
So a forced pit there for Ronaldo Carlos. He comes up behind Scott Angelo, and this will actually be a fantastic battle that we'll cut back to live now into the chicane. Ronaldo takes the spot over Scott Angelo. Scott has got a lot of damage on his car in the 13th position. That Ferrari is all kinds of torn up. We've seen him with that damage at the start of the race, haven't we?
Yeah, it's big damage. So Yeah, it's gonna end up costing him, and you can see how easily the number 22 was able to get past him. Cutting back to the battle for third position, Andrew. Speaker really close up to King Cod. Willis looks like he's kind of biding his time, but time is running out. We only have 30 seconds left for racing.
Willis is close there through turn 8. Oh, he's putting some pressure now on the Rockefeller Racing number 6. Ilya Speaker was second for much of the day. Now in the closing moments, dropped into 4th spot as Rob Rodriguez will come around and take the white flag in a few moments. Will it be the white flag, or will this be the end of the race? This is awfully close. He's only into the front stretch chicane now. This could be the checkered flag as opposed to the white flag. The flag stand says white flag by 2 seconds, while Dan Willis has just had a major issue. He's gone around and has given up a lot of time.
Unfortunately for him, his battle for his pursuit for third place, unfortunately, is going to be cut, and he's going to be dropping all the way down to 8th place. So really unfortunate for him. And Andrew, he was really quick on the exit of 7. I feel like that's where the mistake happened. Oh, Speaker and King Cod. This is a battle for third place, still very much alive. Speaker trying everything he can to get past the number 177. You can see how much it is. And Sparling now really close up to them as well.
Whoa!
Oh!
King Cod with an early lift there. Ilya Speaker goes up the inside of 5 and 6, and King Cod gives up 1 spot, 2 spots. He's going to make it 3 potentially. No, fights back and only gives up the 1 as Sparling has to wait. Sparling on the outside carries more momentum through turn 8. Almost takes that spot away. Now up onto the oval. 3 cars in a line. It's King Cod, it's Sparling, and it's Long. And down onto the apron goes King Cod. Yes, well, he gives up that spot. Sparling goes on by. Long now to the inside of Sparling. Long takes that spot away, and Rob Rodriguez Jr. will come around and collect a win at Charlotte, swerving across the line. Congratulations, Rob Rodriguez.
Really good race from him. Diego Arias is going to finish in 2nd place. Speaker is going to finish in 3rd place. And you can see, Andrew, yeah, I think he's out of fuel. That's why Eel was able to get past him so easily, especially coming into the roller coaster. And you can see Dan Willis. Will he be able to get him? No, close enough. But boy, oh, out of fuel on the final lap, Andrew. That's heartbreaking.
I don't have words. I'm not usually speechless like this, but I don't know what to say now. Wow.
Wow, indeed. It was a fantastic Roval race.
Absolutely blown away by that final lap here at Charlotte. Dan Willis with his issue. Whatever just happened to Brent King Cod. He was slow for an awfully long time. I don't know how he could have been out of fuel in turn 5 and made it back to the start finish under power. I don't see how.
He might have been saving fuel, Andrew. Obviously, he's going to be running the relative box, seeing how much fuel he has. He had to be saving fuel, trying to make sure the car was going to be able to finish, because if he stops in the middle of the lap, he's going to be losing all those positions. So he had to be lifting by the time he went to
This is the issue for Dan Willis, another chicane.
So this is the previous, just carry a bit too much speed.
Just loop that car around. Let's try and get with that one more time. With Dan Willis chasing down, we're going to try and get this done as quickly as we can, but chasing down Ilya Speaker. And we should have Rob Rodriguez in a few moments for comment, but here's Dan Willis on Ilya Speaker, the Rockefeller Racing number 6, who ends up going 3rd. Somebody... Oh yeah, King Cod, that's right. King Cod got whatever happened to him. So, wow, that was aggressive there from Willis. Speaker goes over the curbing, and Willis goes around.
Really unfortunate. Trying to go for a move in, just carrying way too much speed, and you can see King Cod right here. And Andrew, we just have to listen to the engine. You're going to be the man on that to listen if he's lifting and coasting already, especially down into
turn number 1. He put the clutch into the chicane.
Yes, there you go. He was running out of fuel way before he knew he was not going to be able to finish if he kept on full pace. So he had to save fuel. He had to make sure he finished the race, even though he was going to lose a few positions.
Clutch in there. Really scary.
Yeah, you can see how much.
Too.
Yeah, you can see how much Speaker is closing in. You can see how much more pace he had behind. And yeah, You're just gonna be able to. You're just gonna see here. The revs are gonna drop in. There we go. Clutch in. Just having to go way slower. Having to give up those positions. But yeah, out of fuel, Andrew. Just a small miscalculation. What was his pit time, by the way?
Well, let's see. It was only 9.38 seconds, so likely one click too low on the fuel. Might have sputtered there, and I think he realizes it, puts the clutch in. Yeah, he's trying to save. Wow. But you know what? This is a big learning moment, I think, for Brent, because he put the clutch in turn 2 where you're in the throttle, but then didn't put the clutch in 3 and 4 through the hammerhead where you could have rolled the entire corner off throttle. So that's a big thing for, I think, these GT drivers to learn, is not to put the clutch in random spots that you would be on the throttle trying to save fuel as a last-ditch effort. Look for any place where you're rolling and just trying to maximize roll speed. That's where you put the clutch in. So I absolutely, you could keep driving through 2, put the clutch in for 3, and he could have coasted so much more in the early lap, and this is a great way to stay ahead of Scott Angelo, by the way. I want to get a replay of that alone. But he could have put the clutch in through the entire hammerhead and saved so much more fuel. I don't know if it would have made a difference. I'm not entirely certain, but it at least would have been a better place to save.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just unfortunate that it happened on the last lap, Andrew. It's heartbreaking, probably due to the fact that Rob Rodriguez crossed the line with 2 seconds to go.
You have a good point there.
Because if he crossed the line, I mean, obviously, if there was the checkered flag, he was going to be perfectly fine, going to finish in 3rd place. But unfortunately, it was 1 lap too long, and yeah.
Wow. What a way to take 7th place for King Cott there. Let's go ahead and get our race winner ready, though. Rob Rodriguez Jr. with a big one this evening at Charlotte Motor Speedway. He's been very confident these last few weeks, has really come alive as of late, and he's got another race win to speak of this evening, this time in North Carolina. Rob, a fantastic one again, another W.
Yeah, thanks. That was unexpected, I have to say. I mean, Bobby and I got a good start at the start of the race. I think we had a couple seconds breakaway from the pack behind us, and I was just trying to keep it consistent and stay behind them, try to draft a little bit. He was gaining on me in some spots, and then I would pull back a tiny bit. But I was just hoping that maybe with some traffic and pit stops, then maybe I might be able to challenge for the position. And then he disappeared. I felt bad, really. I was enjoying the battle, and I was really looking forward to that. So. But yeah, I mean, as they say, you take a win any way you can get it, I suppose, as long as it's fair and legal.
So with a 4-point gap coming into tonight over David Hicks, who I didn't see anywhere in this race. We're only going to open things up back to Diego Etta and back to Leon Clover, back to Brent Kingcott. It's looking good for Rob Rodriguez to go win this championship in 2 weeks. How do you do so through VIR next week and Interlagos in 2 weeks' time?
Again, I'm just thinking one race at a time, one track at a time, really. This track was a bit of a challenge for me. Not really sure why, just the way it flows. It kind of has a flow to it that I had to really work on. I practiced quite a bit this week to kind of nail all the breaking points and everything. So, as I said, I was hoping just to, finish high up. I never expected to win. But it's great, and looking forward to the next 2 weeks. VIR and Interlagos are 2 of my favorite tracks. I've raced on them a lot, so looking forward to that. They're challenging, they're both technical, and so yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do.
And how do you try and prep for a place like VIR next week? It's so tough, it's so punishing, and there's really not a whole lot of racing room. How do you prep for 30 some odd cars there?
Again, I think it's just maintaining the calm, a sense of calm and patience in the car, not pushing any opportunities that aren't, that I don't feel they're worth the risk. And it's also, again, just knowing the track, for me anyway, knowing the track like the back of my hand. I mean, if I know where I can pass, how I can go side by side, that's really key. So I'm going to spend a lot of time not only practicing just getting as quick as I can on the track, but also practice traffic, going side by side with other cars. That's where teammates come in really handy, where we can just practice going around the whole track so that when I find myself, or if I find myself in that situation, I can stay clean. So that's really the strategy.
There you go, Rob Rodriguez after a very, very dominant win here at Charlotte. Of course, it would have been a race, but hey, sometimes you just have to be there at the end. That's how it works out for Rob this evening. Congratulations, buddy. We'll talk to you, I'm sure, next week at Virginia.
Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate it. Lots of fun.
Rob Rodriguez Jr. with another big win this evening, JB. He's putting quite the season together, and honestly, I don't know how you can bet against Car 66 to wrap up this amateur title in a couple of weeks. He's just been there. It's not even been outstanding pace. It's just finishing these races in the right position. He's doing it week in, week out, and this time on top once again.
Consistent. I mean, it's all you need for a championship, and he's doing exactly that. If he keeps up this pace, Andrew, it's going to be absolutely what he needs. Well, he kept up the pace during the race, and that granted him the victory. 6.8 seconds ahead of Diego Area in second place. Elias Speaker is going to finish in third ahead of Brian Long. Blaine Sparling in fifth place ahead of Sony Brown. Brent Kingcott. If the race was one lap shorter, he was going to finish in third place, but unfortunately ended up finishing in seventh, just 1/10 of a second ahead of Dan Willis. Jeff Castillo is going to finish in ninth place, and Dominic Angelico in 10th.
Finishing 11th, you'll find Car 22, Ronaldo Carlos, after his pit for damage, just over David Stevenson and Scott Angelo there in the 13th spot. Joshua Benjamin goes 14th. Nicholas Sykes, the first car, over 1 minute behind our race leader there in 15th spot. Then it's Chris Winstone, Kerry Corcoran, and Austin Hodel before Kenneth Michael and Armando Bejaran check in as the first two cars 1 lap down.
21st place goes the way of Sean Patterson. James Colburn is going to finish in 22nd ahead of Brendan Lovia. Adolfo Perez is going to finish in 24th ahead of Milan Harris. Marco Garcia is going to finish in 26th. Philip Bederka is going to finish 27th. Alan Dobbs 28th. Zachariah Roser is going to finish 29th. Andrew and Bobby Flack is going to finish in 30th place.
In your back few cars, 31st is Mike Braun, 32nd, Joshua Tucker, 33rd, Clarence Rosa, and Billy Bowerman, in fact, did not make the start of this race. So 34 cars is how it all breaks down over the course of 32 laps and 40 minutes of racing at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval, and we've still got a race to go, JP. What do you make of this first one? What do you make of what we might see here in race number 2 for the pros and pro-ams?
I feel like we're going to see kind of more of the same. It's going to be a lot of fun, Andrew. We're going to see, obviously, the big boys coming in. And, yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of cars going way closer to the walls. Yeah, I cannot say, actually. I want to be surprised, actually.
There you go. Going in with a surprise here is JP's motto anyways. Race 2 on the day. That's your Pro-Am race coming up in just a few moments here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. It's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure to stick with us through this quick break. We'll be right back to you with pro coverage.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
SoundArt introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. SoundArt ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
Welcome back to America's home for racing, at least on the iRacing.com Motorsport Simulator. It's been a fun one so far. 40 minutes of amateur racing in the books, and it was absolutely sensational. Rob Rodriguez took that victory. Who can do it here in the pros and pro-ams? Bryce Rodriguez has a chance to go for it, but Gustavo Ariel and Andre Melcher's leading practice so far as time will expire. That gives way to qualifying, JP, and only time will tell how this one's going to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Drivers are all going to be starting qualifying now. It's going to be an important section for them. But obviously on the race pace, Andrew, that's where everything's going to be decided. I don't think I can place a bet right now. We're going to have to wait, but it's gonna be exciting. This is obviously the third to final round. I'm not pretty sure what we say, but boy, this it's close to getting the final qualifying session of the year. This is gonna be definitely one of the trickiest, yet one of the most important.
Let's quickly talk again about our point standings coming into this evening. We haven't really looked at them in depth just yet. Juan Blanat leads, Gustavo Ariel there in second, Nathan Lewis in third, Andre Melchers in fourth. Andre is still in this championship. I wouldn't write him out at all. Simon Nicholson is even in this championship. Hunter McDaniel is in this. Your top 6, I think, are all realistic here. And over in Pro-Am, I think you're really looking at maybe your top 3, if not only your top 2. Bryce Rodriguez moved up into Pro, leaves Paulo Godai on his own down there realistically. John Sedlak might be close enough if Paulo falters.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, mathematically, I don't know. John Sedlak is definitely in contention, and Hunter McDaniel will as well. Realistically, Andrew, it's going to be a big challenge for them. Not impossible, but it's going to be very difficult. We're going to have to wait and see how Paulo Godai is going to perform tonight. It's a very tricky racetrack on the Porsche. He was very good. I'm pretty sure he won the race, actually, in the Pro-Am class. But obviously, on the Pro-Ams, Andrew, things are going to get very interesting. Only 3 points behind, separating the top 3. Boy, that's going to be fun to see how, if it's going to change by the end of the race.
I'm looking at these other battles throughout the field. I think Mark McDonald down through Brian Zen is going to be a lot of fun to watch over the next couple of weeks. Only 19 points separating them. And you've got Bryce Rodriguez, Mitchell Ian Green, Nicolas Rubilar, and Dominic Olivier only 6 points apart, those 4 cars. So definitely a lot to watch for, I think, the rest of this season here in the North American Racing League GT3 season number 3. Cars are on track for qualifying. Justin Sang, one of the first out there. Let's go ahead and do as we usually do, JP. Let's go through some car selection. Justin Sang in a Ferrari. Juan Bustamante out there in a BMW. AJ Stravado in a BMW. Andre Melcher is in a BMW. Nathan Lewis in a BMW. Nicolas Rubilar in a BMW. Are you seeing a theme?
Yes, kind of. Max Wobbles, although he's in a Ferrari. Pierre Thompson in a Ferrari. Rodrigo Lapri in a Ferrari. Andrew, are you seeing a theme?
Somewhat. So we've got 2 car choices pretty much. Here's Fabio Zamperlini in a BMW. Paulo Godai in a BMW. Are we just alternating? You're going to see all the Ferraris. I'm going to see all the BMWs tonight. Here's Marcos Nunez in a BMW. Blake Scott, there's a Ferrari.
Hey,
Juan Blanat in a Ferrari as well for his Rincon Racing at number 89. Mitchell Ian Green in a BMW. John Sedlak, BMW. Mark Scott, Ferrari. Mario Blendea, though, out there in a BMW as some of the times start to trickle in. There's Lucas Souza in a BMW. Hunter McDaniel in a BMW. Gustavo Ariel in a BMW for full-time esports.
And yeah, a lot of BMWs, a lot of Ferraris. I don't think we've seen any other manufacturer unless I'm going crazy. Arthur Lice now coming into the field as well. Elliot, there you go. Elliot White braving it out on the Audi, and then Mark McDonald back on the Audi. Reed Gibson on the Ferrari. Scott Kimbrough on the BMW. So yeah, kind of a theme we're seeing, Andrew. And Arthur Lice, the Brazilian. I'm pretty sure, I couldn't quite remember which series he was running. But yeah, he's currently on pole, Andrew. Half a second ahead of Juan Blanat. Looking good.
See what Juan can do here. Now on to his second timed lap. I just enjoy watching these cars right here. Sometimes I don't even have to talk. I just enjoy watching the cars go around and around. Let's go on board, though, make it at least somewhat more interesting. On board with the right front side of the car. Juan Blanat through the chicane. Oh, and he gets the wall.
Oh, unfortunately, that's going to be his lap done and dusted. Melchers, you're going to have to see if he can improve. No. Oh, he's going to stop Reed Gibson. Currently coming through the backstretch chicane. Now only two corners to go. You can think about the final chicane. Currently just going flat out as close as you can through that blue line. Currently chasing a 114.9, which is his current best lap time. He's currently as well in the Pro-Am pole position, really attacking those curbs, Andrew. Yeah, Paulo, well, only still, but Andrew, 3/10 behind Reed Gibson currently.
Sure, but he's suddenly right there with him. That means these two will be able to race once the green flag drops. Fabio Zamperlini in 7th, Hunter McDaniel in 8th. Max Wobbles there on the 9th spot. And, Mario Blendea up a position or two, up into the 9th now into the top 10 as a Pro-Am. So 3 Pro-Am so far in the top 10. Still many pros yet to turn a time, though, as Elliot White goes for a spin. Gustavo Ariel works through the backstretch chicane. He's on lap number 2. So some off tracks for some of these guys as well. Nathan Lewis is even on his third lap, but doesn't have a time in yet.
Yeah, this is an important lap time, Andrew. We saw with Paolo, especially last time out on the Porsche Cup, he couldn't really get a lap time on his first 2 attempts. He ended up having to go for a safe lap just to not start on the back end of the grid. I wonder if we're going to see something similar to Nathan Lewis. This is going to be all or nothing for him. I just, recalled, Andrew, as we're looking now at Nicolas Rubilar. Looks like he had an off track as well at some point, and he's going to have to try on this lap as well with Bustamante. But Andrew, Arthur Lice, he's currently a Brazilian stock car driver. That's how I remember him, and it looks like Bustamante took a really wide line there. I wonder if that was not an off track.
He was setting up for his third lap here, so that was his second lap. This is his third and final lap. He was setting up through the grass there, well, through the turf there, to try and get a better run at the chicane. That's smart.
Yeah,
That's
okay,
interesting,
so
but that's smart.
Yeah, it's really going to get him quite a bit of lap time, especially with that wider arc. We're going to have to see if that's going to help him any way, shape, or form. As Juan Blanat, he's currently only, as we mentioned before, less than half a tenth behind Arthur Lice. We're going to have to see if he improves. Currently a 1:14.475, and that's the time that he's chasing.
One up in NASCAR 3 and 4. Now into the front stretch chicane. Only looking for about 4.5 tenths. 5 if he can get it across the line. He gets 3, it looks like, or 2. No, he goes pole. What? Okay, so the time was different from what we saw. A 14.403 is good enough for pole there. Impressive lap.
Very impressive lap by one. Yeah, I think.
Oh, Marcos is trying. Is he pitting? He's pitting. Okay.
Yeah, he's pitting. Gustavo Ariel, he's done with his laps as well, isn't he? Paulo Godoy as well. Blendea looks like he's going to try to finish maybe his laps. And Andrew, this is perfect for Blanat. Leading the championship, leading qualifying so far, exactly what he needs. Oh,
Travado gets the wall there.
Yeah, really hard, and that's going to be the end of his lap, and that's going to hurt his confidence a little bit, dare I say.
Elliott White and Justin Sang do not get lap times in. Elliott White is on the racetrack, though. Brian Zinn and Bryce Rodriguez, it looks like, will not take a time today. Not even take an attempt. So the only car left on track with a chance at going faster, I don't think is going to. He might, though. Andre Melcher is going slow this lap to try and bring the tires up to temp. He's got a shot if he gets back to the line in time. He is only technically on lap number 2 here, JP. So if he manages things just right, he gets the wall a little bit there. Hopefully no damage. If he plays things right, he could still go faster.
Yeah, he's really probably going to be opening up just like we saw previously. Really using a lot of the turf. Will we see that? No, not quite. So he's going to line up for his final qualifying attempt. Andrew currently nearly 4/10 of a second behind pole. He definitely wants to improve as he's currently in 6th place and obviously chasing down Juan Blanat and that fantastic lap time. And you can see how close they get through the walls. This is really fun to see. Now looking through, look at these sequences. Andrew just pretty much pinpoint perfect. And he applies the power now, exiting Hammerhead into the Redneck roller coaster. This is a tricky section.
He's managing it nicely. Through turn 6 there, pops those curbs, gets a little bit of oversteer. Just feeling the car right now up over turn 7, very difficult. Through turn 8, gets right to that wall, opens up the racetrack to the wall there, right back down. I think if he were to leave the wheel a bit more open, he could get a little more time, but of course you do go higher up on the racetrack, so it's tough to say. Andre now out of NASCAR 2, down to the back stretch chicane with a minute to go in qualifying. He's certainly going to get there. Is it going to be better? Pops the chicane, pops both chicane curbs and gets the wall. That's it. Oh, that's so frustrating.
We're going to have to wait and see if he continues the lap, Andrew, to see what could have been, as looks like he will actually finish up his lap time as he heads into the final chicane. So he's probably just getting a little bit extra practice, really tackling those curbs, probably getting a bit of the wall as well. Yeah, 0.2 of a second.
Oh, he does actually. He might not have gotten an incident from that. No. So he goes up to 3rd, just inside a 10th to pole. Mega lap there for Andre Melchers. AJ Salvato still on the racetrack, although it's not going to count for anything. So a lot of BMWs today. We're getting a look at how some of them are handling. It's certainly going to be an interesting evening here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway as we get ready for 50 minutes of racing. JP, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Who's your pick?
I don't think you can go against Blanat, but my Brazilian spirit is going to say Arthur Lice is actually going to win.
Really, that's it. That's as much detail as I thought we would have gotten a whole story, man. You know, if I'll put myself on point here, on the spot, I don't think the top 3 qualifiers win. I don't think Blanat does. I don't think Lice does. I don't think Melchers does. I think we're going to see some chaos tonight. I think we're going to see controlled chaos. We're going to see a couple of big pieces of drama, certainly. I'm going to look, honestly, you know who I think might win this race is Juan Bustamante. He's been very, very close to it a couple of weeks now. Actually, I think he might have won one. Oh, man. I'm unsure now. I don't think he has yet, but he's been fantastic at the Red Bull Ring in Zolder. I think Juan Bustamante might have it within him to go out there and win a race tonight. Otherwise, I'm looking to somebody like Gustavo Auriel. I think that's a layup as somebody that will at least contend for a race win this evening. As far as Pro-Am, though, JP, I don't know how you argue against Paulo Gaday.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Qualifying pace wasn't ideal. Was it Reed Gibson that qualified on pole for the Pro-Am, wasn't it? But yeah, I think Paulo has it in the bag. If he cannot get in pace, I feel like the strategy is really going to be on point for him to try. And yeah, I feel like it's difficult to argue against him as well.
Let's go ahead and take a look at our starting grid this evening on pole. As we've talked about, Juan Blanat as... Oh, I guess it's not going to show us the grid. I'll go ahead and dictate it to you, I suppose. Juan Blanat on pole, Arthur Leist in second place. Andre Melchers will start from the 3rd position as he gets into his car. I'm really concerned as to why we aren't getting the grid populating, but anyways, we'll go along with it. So Andre Melchers 3rd, Nicolas Rubelar 4th, Gustavo Auriel will start from 5th, Juan Bustamante in 6th, Marcos Nunez will start from 7th, Nathan Lewis 8th, Reed Gibson starts from 9th, Paulo Gaday starts from the 10th position. A little further back, I guess we have to do the whole thing here. Fabio Zamperlini 11th, Hunter McDaniel 12th, we can even do it this way. Mario Blandeas will start from 13th, H.A. Stavato 14th, Max Wobble starts from 15th position this evening in car 69. It's Blake Scott starting from 16th spot. Back to row 9, you've got Scott Kimbrough with Rodrigo Laprie, and Scott Racer will start from the 19th position just ahead of Pierre Thompson inside of the top 20. Starting at 21st, you've got Mitchell Ian Green, who hasn't graded up just yet. John Sedlak rolls off 22nd. Lucas Souza will start from the 23rd position. And starting 24th, you'll find Mark McDonald at Illinois in a BMW. 25th, you will find Mark Scott in car 166. Starting 26th, you've got Mike Galbraith now with... I don't think he was previously with Maradness, so that's cool to see for Mike. And starting 27th, you've got Elliott White, then Justin Sang in car 188, followed by Brian Zinn and Bryce Rodriguez, who will start, it looks like, from the pit lane this evening.
And we're going to have to see if this gamble works for him. Andrew obviously could be safer, but yeah, he's going to start all the way back. Drivers are going to have their tires warmed up a little bit on the formation lap. It's going to be interesting. Track temp. It's quite spicy, and the winds as well.
83 degrees in the air, 85 on the racetrack. That's much warmer than the amateur race. And the winds out of the west, that's from behind the grandstands across the racetrack at, well, it was gusting a little bit. Now it's fallen back down a little ways as the field works on through turns 5 and 6. Interesting. We've got some interesting weather for these guys. They can't say we gave them an easy one, that's for sure.
Absolutely not, Andrew. And yeah, now time is running out. We're going to have to see the drivers are going to be, well, trying to their best to shake off the nerves and everything. And yeah, this is the last opportunity they will have side by side, and they're going to start the race. I mean, I'm getting nervous for them, Andrew, not going to lie. This is a pro race. This is really going to be worth a lot of points, especially with the championship leader starting on pole and his closest competition starting further back.
Yeah, let's talk about points again. Juan Blanat leading the way. Gustavo Auriel will roll off from, let's see, Gustavo starts from 5th. So that 1 point gap is already going to be up to, what, 6th or 7th? Nathan Lewis, meanwhile, starts from 8th position, so inflate that gap as well, and Andre Melchers will start just behind Juan. So the points are definitely going to look a whole lot different, even on lap 1. And we'll see how they, well, we won't see necessarily how they change, but we'll see how they change next week when we go to VIR, how they have changed after this one. I think a lot is going to.
Absolutely, and obviously only 3 rounds left, Andrew. 2 if you count this, if you discount this one. So yeah, not room for mistakes at all, especially like this track. You don't have any room for mistakes. this is going to be a fantastic race, Andrew. 50 minutes, 1 pit stop, a lot of positions are going to be changed. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun indeed as we get ready for racing here. You see Bryce Rodriguez starting from the pit lane. There's the front of the field. Juan Blanat out of the oval will come down to the green flag this evening. It is a chicane start for these guys. It's going to be hectic. Let's see how the field handles it. Juan Blanat on pole, then it's Arthur Leiss, then Andre Melchers. They're all chomping at the bit, but waiting for the green flag, and green flag is out, and the outside goes nowhere. One car stopped already. That was Juan Bustamante. You're kidding me. Some good looks here at the entire field. Up onto the oval. Look how close they get to that wall, JP.
Yeah, they're getting really close, Andrew, and that's going to be the theme we're going to be seeing for 50 minutes. We're going to be seeing drivers getting too close to the walls at certain points, but yeah, I mean, it's just going to be the name of the game. Just like Monaco and F1, you really have to get, look at that. They're pretty much touching the wall. They're pretty much using the wall to brake, but yeah, really close. You can see, especially on the exit of the chicane.
Our leaders now through NASCAR 3 and 4, a couple of Ferraris and a couple of BMWs. Actually, no, a Ferrari, then 3 BMWs in your top 4. Another BMW in 5th. And lap 1 is in the books. Juan Blanat, far and away your race leader. Your first Pro-Am car, that's Reed Gibson in 8th, Paulo Gaday in 9th. Hunter McDaniel in 10th spot. Adrian Sabato 3rd in class. Let's go back and see what happened here to Juan Bustamante after start. Actually quite curious as to what happens here to Juan. Joined him a little bit late there. Let's go back and watch this one more time. I'm rather confused. So watch the black, white, and green 52 car, center of your screen thereabouts, just behind the pink BMW. He just got on the throttle at the wrong time and over-rotated. Wow.
This is really on the worst. I mean, that's the worst timing possible, Andrew. The whole field goes past him, and all the effort that was done in qualify all goes out of the window.
I did see one Lamborghini in the field, interestingly enough. I think that might be Mitchell Ian Green, potentially. No, that is actually Brian Zinn, who we didn't see on the grid. So Brian Zinn out there in a Lamborghini this evening. That is unexpected for sure. A green Lambo as well. It's very odd. As we complete lap number 2, we were expecting 40 laps, and already, JP, after 2, we're expecting now 41, so these guys on a tear.
Yeah, these guys are absolutely flying. You can see Blanat already setting the purple fastest lap of the race, which is, I guess, what we expect from the driver that has absolutely no one in front of him, Andrew. And yeah, he's currently controlling the pace a little bit, a half a second. That seems to be the gap that is separating the whole top 5.
On board with Gustavo Ariel in the 3rd position, ahead of his teammate Arthur Leiss and chasing Andre Melchers. I'd imagine fuel savings, yep, they're already starting. You can hear the RPMs drop. Putting the clutch in there, trying to save as much as he can into the braking zone. Very smart there from Gustavo. I think most of these guys are going to start doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be really early on. They're going to start doing this because that's going to be the main overtaking spot, Andrew, on the pit lane, I feel like, in, what, 35 minutes time? That's where we're going to see drivers maybe heading into the pits, and well, whoever can put less fuel in the car, it's going to be the driver who's going to be quickest through the pit lane and saving more time, and well, I mean, just getting more positions, as Roval now sets the fast lap of the race, currently in 5th place.
We're on board with him now. How's he taking the hammerhead? A little bit of throttle, just a little bit, just to kind of turn the car a little bit. So very, very similar to what we saw from the amateur drivers. The fastest of the bunch anyway, Dan Willis, for example, letting the car coast through there, letting the car roll the corner. It just seems to be faster.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw that on the qualifying, Andrew, and we saw that on the previous race. And yeah, is just, you know, you're using not less power, but you're just, I guess, applying less stress to the whole car itself, and that just allows you to be smoother. And we all know the smooth is fast.
Got a long line of cars here that's ended by Pierre Thompson. Look at this string of cars ahead of him from 26th up through the 13th position. Every car is separated by less than a second, and Pierre Thompson goes to the inside there of Justin Sang, takes that spot away. That is good now for the 25th spot for Pierre. Juan Bustamante back here in the 23rd spot. How do you try and come back from an issue like that, JP, so early in the race?
I mean, the good thing for him, Andrew, he knows he has the pace over some of these guys. You know, his qualifying position was excellent, so he knows he can push a little bit more, especially on X's like this, and maybe dare a little bit more under braking. So that's where he's going to be, you know, his, I guess, advantage. You can see how close he gets right here. And he's just going to have to take each and every single position as it comes right here, exactly like this. Oh, that was close. That was a good door shot right there, but yeah, you know, trying to get those positions, Andrew, as they come and try to save as much fuel in the process as well. I feel that's going to be the name of the game for the number 52. Oh, there you go.
Oh, gets into John Sedlak a little bit. I don't know why he's flashing his headlights. This is a straight-up race at this point. You've made your own mistake. You're back here. I can't agree with flashing the headlights there, and I hope he doesn't get frustrated with that. That's just John trying to run his race. John is trying to run this race just like anybody else right now.
He's gonna be forced to go around the outside. He's gonna try to go. He's gonna have to go around the outside. Maybe try to force John into a mistake. John is defending very, very hard as well. But obviously, it's racing. It's in his own right. You can see closing the door, and well, he's gonna have to go a long way around the outside.
What's he doing?
John is kind of moving a little bit, Andrew, especially on the
he
NASCAR 3
didn't
and
move off
4.
the line there. He was always in the bottom. I'm sorry. That's no. One just tried to drive off the racetrack twice. There's passing. There's being aggressive. And you know what? He looked out of the chicane. That was fine. But then in the middle of the corner, I don't know where you're going to go.
But he's going to go down the inside over here. John is not going to leave him any room as well. Really, well, it's really good racing, actually. It's really aggressive from Bustamante just to attack. And you can see, Andrew, he's trying everywhere he can. Is he alongside enough? Just barely. And oh, he's going to try once again. And you can see now John is going to go wide. That's going to compromise a little bit of his line. Bustamante taking a little bit of breathing room for him to focus on the exit, but not close enough. He's going to try on the back straight chicane, but he's not close enough this time.
I thought he had him at 5. I really thought Juan was there finally. Well, I guess we aren't leaving this one for a second, are we?
Absolutely not. And now John is going to go down the inside.
There's contact.
Oh,
Scott,
no. Bustamante as well gets a little bit. Pierre Thompson is going to be spun around, and well, these two are going to go at it once again.
Juan Bustamante again. There's just no pocket there. See, John is coming up off the yellow or the blue line there by the smallest of margins, and now here goes Juan to the inside. Finally gets that spot. Oh, John Sedlak over the curbing. It gets back in. Oh boy, there goes Mark Scott as well. This is going to be fun. John now gives that time up. Mark Scott not at all happy. Oh, into the wall.
Oh, he's not going to be happy after that one.
That car's destroyed.
Oh, and destroyed, actually, yeah.
Now that, I'm not sure was as clear-cut as earlier. Earlier, John was leaving maybe a foot down to the inside line, wasn't leaving room. But there, I think John carried his car out to the outside wall, and Juan was definitely there.
Yeah, the thing is, he cut the chicane and maintained the position, tried to get rid of the slowdown penalty. You can see right here, the move was, I mean, it was a perfect move from Bustamante. Got the run on the outside. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he made it. I'm not pretty sure if John was still on the outside, if that forced John to cut the chicane. We're going to have to take a look at his own board, but you can see right here, John certainly has a slowdown. You can see him slowing down, but, I mean, if he still has a slowdown at that point, yeah, that, I mean, left no space for Bustamante. That's completely on him.
The earlier stuff, though, I mean, that was perfect. That was really, really aggressive. I wouldn't say perfect at all. It's kind of like a Daytona, right? If you're at Daytona in the Rolex 24, you're not going to dip your nose onto the apron in the corner. I get that the transition isn't as bad here, so you can kind of try it at Charlotte, but if you were at Daytona, that would never fly. IMSA would black flag you immediately. You can't go down there and pass, and you certainly shouldn't keep doing it over and over. That stuff I really don't like, really don't agree with. I think the urgency to get by is one thing, JP, but you also got to look at it as 40 more minutes, and it's your own mistake as to why you're back there anyways. If he had felt wronged and been seeing red, I think I could understand a little bit more, but you made your own mistake. You're in the back of the field. Maybe cut a guy a little more slack this early in the race.
And I think that's exactly the point, Andrew, why he wouldn't do that. It was his own mistake. He's going to be beating himself for it, because if it wasn't that, he was going to be in the solid top 5 maybe at this point, as this car is also really destroyed at this point. But yeah, it's just that's just an urgency of trying to get that spot back, trying to get everything back, those positions. And yeah, unfortunately for him, his race is very much over.
Nathan Lewis with trouble. And, that's not really showing it, but he gets the wall right there in turn 7, and it has gotten this car all kinds of cattywampus.
And you saw how light of a contact that was, Andrew? And the effect that it had on the car?
If we can show a better angle of it. This will be a better angle. You'll see all this contact for Nathan. He's run here many times in stock cars. I'm pretty surprised by this mistake. Just carries it out there, boom, wall. Pretty hard as well. And you can see... He's all kinds of all over the place now.
Yeah. And interestingly, he actually hit the car square on the side, and
I think it towed out the rear.
Yeah, it just completely broke it. If you hit the front end while it's turning, it's gonna damage the suspension, and you're gonna have a bent car, just like we saw Ronaldo on the previous race. But this is the effect if you hit the car square on. So this is one more condition for these guys. Well, don't hit the wall at all, because it doesn't matter which side of the car you hit, which part of the car you hit, you're going to be forced to come down a pit lane either way.
I think he really broke the right rear. Yeah, it's not correct. It's steering right now to the left side, so that's a shame.
And that's big for his championship, Andrew. That's the worst part.
Yeah, comes in third. It was a quiet conversation piece for the championship, I think, and now... I don't think he's in the conversation much at all. Now, a drop week might still help him, but I think he's already used one, so he's going to drop certainly. Probably down to the 4th spot or so. I mean, Andre Melchers is on it. He's in 3rd. Gustavo's in 2nd. So you've got your top 3 now in order of how they would be in the points.
I mean, he got the worst possible combination. Blanat and Ariel, well, they're at 1-2. Melchers, who was, 9 points behind you, he's currently in 3rd place, in a solid position to save quite a bit of fuel and maybe get the position over Gustavo later on. So it is definitely the worst case scenario for him.
Here with Andre Melchers on Gustavo Ariel. Arthur Leiss just behind. Nicholas Rubelar in line. Marcos Nunez is not too far back. Marcos is back here in 6th. And I mean, he can see this entire top 5 ahead of him. All the way up to Juan Blanat, your leader. So Nunez, he's been quiet this season. Hasn't made a whole lot of noise, but sitting here in the 6th spot. Reed Gibson, by the way, is leading a Pro-Am. We haven't done much class covering this race because of how much drama we've seen already. Reed Gibson, though, leading in Pro-Am, is in the 7th position overall, and Paulo Godai is in 8th.
Yeah, these two are going at it. Paulo definitely... I mean, Reed is definitely showing his pace that he had in qualifying, Andrew. He's leading Paulo by 1.6, 1.7 second. Paulo, at this point in time, I'm not quite sure if he's pushing 100%, or maybe just trying to be safe and get to the flag, maybe trying to get some advantage back on the pit lane. But yeah, currently running his own race. He has quite an 0.8 of a second gap to Hunter McDaniel behind. But yeah, I mean, these two are dominant. They're currently what? Reed Gibson is 6 seconds ahead of 3rd place in their class. Obviously, Paul is going to be around 4 seconds. But yeah, they're just on their own right now.
And if I'm being honest, JP, I thought Paulo would be better here today. Absolutely was fantastic in the Porsche Cup race here just a few weeks ago. I really thought he'd be doing better. Reed Gibson, though, has shown up with Scuderia Chicken House and is just absolutely flying in comparison. I mean, Bryce Rodriguez, now a pro driver, was barely hanging on with Paulo earlier in the season, just trying to hang in that battle, and now you got
20 seconds.
Yeah, you got Reed Gibson just absolutely pulling.
Yeah, and Reed, obviously in 3rd place, he's going to benefit quite a bit because his closest championship contender, Andrew, was only 7 points ahead of him. And, well, that's John Sadlak, and John is currently in 20th place. So he's going to get a whole bunch of points over John right here. And that's really going to help him maybe jump into second place if everything goes right. So he's looking really good right here. And he's going to get some points extra on Paulo Godoy as well. So we could see that championship gap really shrinking.
This is Bryce Rodriguez. Now, he started from the pit lane, and unfortunately, when drivers do that, you can see it does not return data for us. But Bryce is in the 22nd spot. It does at least tell us that much. Mitchell Ian Green is chasing Justin Sang. These are the last few cars really in the order at all. Garrett Thompson is the last car running in 25th, and Mitchell Ian Green goes down to the inside of Justin Sang. That is for 23rd position. How about Scott Reister? He's in a battle with Mark McDonald. This is for 17th spot, and you can see some positions ahead as well. Rodrigo Lapri, Scott Kimbrough, Mario Blandea up the road. So Scott, he's not all that far up the order right now, but keeping the car clean. And we've seen this time and time again be, I think, of utmost importance for Scott, is just keep the car clean, keep the car moving. Generally, things work out. Sometimes, though, he has been absolutely the focus of some bad luck, I think, for 2 seasons in a row. Ever since he went flipping through the air at Hungaroring last season, JP, it seems like everything has gone wrong for Scott.
Yeah, I mean, looks like it could be a turning point on the bad side for his luck, but as you mentioned, Andrew, sometimes all you need, is just to, I guess, just keep your car. You don't need to have the best of pace. If you take a look, I mean, from what we know, he already got 2 free positions from Nathan Lewis and Bustamante due to collision. So, it's 2 free positions that the whole field got. Obviously, he got as well. It's just, a matter of keeping your car on the racetrack, especially on tracks like this. So, he currently can see all the way up to, looks like 13th place, so a few extra positions from him. And, well, if he can keep his car on pace, save a little bit of fuel on these guys, he might not have all the pace to beat, but well, just due to strategy and just by being, consistent on the track, he might get all these positions by the end of the race.
Let's go back towards the front of the field as Andre Melchers continues to follow Gustavo Ariel around, and Juan Blanat still leading. And these guys are in fuel save mode right now. We've talked about this all season long, JP. It comes down to the fuel right now more than it does the racing. And I don't want to say that in a bad way. I don't want that to have negative connotations, but the first 30, 35, even 40 minutes of this race really is just preparing for the final 10. You're just setting yourself up for the end, setting yourself up for a run to the finish on at least a half tank of fuel or so. You're just trying to position yourself for the end of the race, not racing so much as you are just fuel saving and positioning.
Yeah, absolutely, but this requires as well, Andrew, so much pace because you're going to have to be running the same pace as the rivals ahead, even though you're trying to save more fuel than them. And obviously on the pit lane, Andrew, we're going to see these guys gambling as well. So it's a game, I feel like this actually is the game of chess, just saving a bit of fuel, holding your own, trying to put a bit of pressure on the guy ahead. And when the moment comes, when you're close to the pit lane, try to attack them, trying to force them into some sort of error, and obviously come down in the pit lane, as Rubilar was really aggressive this time around.
Paulo Godoy losing a spot here to Hunter McDaniel. Now, this isn't going to hurt Paulo in the championship. I think he realizes he can just kind of sit back now and put races together, but it is out of the ordinary to see Paulo Godoy moving behind anybody. Usually he doesn't get passed up by many cars in a race, but even Fabio Zamperlini trying to look on by. And I think Paulo certainly has earned a promotion to pro, but it seems like he is just a little behind the mark tonight.
Yeah, unfortunately just a little bit behind him, but Andrew, this could be a tactical move from him as well. Maybe just allowing McDaniel to maybe overtake him to save a little bit of fuel. I doubt that was the case. It could have just been, you can see right here, he's dropping quite a bit. But, yeah, I mean, at this point, with a 21-point gap. Oh, and damage right there, Andrew. You can see that. So, that could explain as well a bit of lack of pace we're seeing.
Yeah, left front damage. I think left and right front damage will be common today. I think, just like Zolder last week, it's really easy to get some damage over the curbing here, especially the sausage curbs at the apex that are installed for NASCAR racing. That really deters drivers from cutting for a good reason. So, sure, NASCAR bodies have historically been rolled steel. Now they're composite, that they can actually take some more damage over these curbs. Here's Mario Blandea giving up a lot of time out of the back straightaway chicane. But traditionally, NASCAR stock cars have had rolled steel bodies that just kind of, well, they hit that and they just kind of bend up, and it doesn't usually do a whole lot to them. As Mario challenges Rodrigo Lapri to the braking zone, it goes way through the chicane. That was never going to stick.
Yeah, way too deep, way too confident under braking, and that's really gonna cause look at this Constantine effect, I guess you can say. Scott Reiser is gonna get the position, and Andrew, just as we mentioned, you can see how many positions he got, and well, just as quickly your race can change and you can get a few extra position. He moves up to 17th. He was in 18th before, right? And the number 19 looks like he's gonna take a detour, and that car is also
Justin Sang and Mitchell Ian Green turned around there. And they were in this battle as well. I think this is a very much multi-part incident. They were now behind Scott Reister. Yes, they were. So there's all that mess. And then something happens with Mitchell Ian Green and Justin Sang. Here's Mitchell. He pops the curbing. Oh, goodness. All over the curbs. Wow.
whoa.
Alrighty then. One more look at this for these two drivers, and wow. Watch this from the flag stand, actually. Poor Barney, the flagman, getting a scare up there. Yeah. Watch this. It's a little smaller there. You don't see it quite as large, but all right, then. We've had two freak flips tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to mention, this is the third trend we're seeing tonight. One where we see a lot of BMWs. The second, we see a lot of Ferraris. The third one is as soon as a car hits the wall, Andrew, they have a tendency to really go flying.
You know what? I like that you bring up trends. We are at a NASCAR track, and I know Emerson has got to be listening in. We're at a NASCAR track. Is this where we get Larry Max trends, Larry Max McNuggets, potentially? For any of you NASCAR viewers, you'll know what I'm talking about. It is a trend. We're seeing cars flip at the Roval. I didn't expect that.
No, absolutely not. I wouldn't expect to see cars, GT cars, really flipping in pretty much any occasions. And I mean, I thought Blaine I was gonna hit that wall, but it's just business as usual for these guys getting that close to the wall. And yeah, Andrew, the whole top six separated by 3 seconds. You can see a few extra battles back here. This is the number 69, really trying to defend his position currently. As we head, this is Wobbles defending from Scott Kimbrough, actually, as we head into the final chicane. And there he goes. Kimbrough, can he get it all slowed down? Yes, he can, and that's a beautiful move right there.
That it was. Mario Blandea into the pit lane now. So cars starting to pit. Reyes Rodriguez has also recently pitted. Actually, no, he didn't. That was that's his pit lane time from starting from the pit lane. But you know who has pitted recently is Mike Galbraith. 15.12 seconds, and that feels like a scheduled stop, just an early one. He's trying to get that out of the way early, and Blandea now on the pit lane. Let's see how his pit stop is going and see about how much fuel he takes. And this will be a good idea as to how much fuel the leaders will take as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I expect the leaders to be a bit less than that. Obviously,
14 seconds.
Yeah, probably 14. Maybe we're going to see a gamble on 13, Andrew. It's going to be a stretch, but, I mean, these guys, they have a tendency to really go crazy on fuel.
Oh, here we go. Nicholas Roval. Been fast all day. Had a couple of purple laps, I believe. Does he still have the purple lap? I think so.
Does he have damage?
14,651. He does have a little bit, but again, I mean, that's curb damage at this point. The Arnage competition number 7 still looks good. Get that fender pop back out. That was nothing concerning.
Yeah, I was just going to wonder if that damage was enough to force him to come down. And we're going to see his pit stop timer. But Andrew, this is a big gamble because he was in the top cars, 14.8. So yeah, this
I see what you're saying about being a big gamble, but you know what? Think about it. He's pitting out of sequence with those guys. If they have any kind of stack up, if they meet lap traffic, if they anything that happens, he's now out of that.
But look at where he rejoins, Andrew. He's going to have to overtake all of these guys without losing any time whatsoever. We saw how much Bustamante was racing, trying to get past some of these guys. He's going to have to do this pretty much all over. Obviously, all these guys have to pit ahead of him, Andrew. But they're not going to pit so soon, I don't think.
He's in 15th position now. Just went by Scott Reister, who quickly let him by at a turn 4. Just trying to get out of the way in that case. So Nicholas Roval now has to pass Rodrigo Lapri 7/10 up the road. Then Mark McDonald an extra. Sorry, Lapri is 1.7 seconds up the road. Then it's another 7/10 up to Mark McDonald. Then Scott Kimbrough. It looks like Justin Sang in that mix as well. But only 3 cars directly ahead. It shouldn't be too bad for Nicholas, especially if he's a little bit easy getting back up to snuff here.
Yeah, he's gonna have, I mean, he's just gonna have to push it this time. He already got his pit lane out of the way. He's not gonna have to pit again. If he has enough fuel to push to the end of the race, that could be an advantage that he will use, Andrew, because these guys are gonna be running at a slower pace, trying to save a little bit of fuel. So if he can run at full guns till the end of the race and not having to save any fuel, that could be a good gamble.
Down to the bus stop goes our race leader. Oh, man, look at how close they get there. Even to that wall as well. Oh, Blaine had even triggered the damage sound. That's how close these guys are to the walls. I've been hearing damage sounds all night long, and I'd imagine then the viewers should be as well. They are all over the walls in every single corner. It seems like they're even close to being present. And they're right on the edge of that turf on the inside. These guys are pushing tonight, and I don't know if you've noticed yet, JP, but Gustavo's starting to close in on Juan here. Really starting to push that BMW.
Yeah, really starting to push it. The gap was 1 second before, now currently down to 4 3/10 of a second. Maybe this is a sign that he's about to come into the pit lane, Andrew?
Uh-oh. Scott Reiser in the back straightaway chicane. He's got trouble. I would agree with you, though, about Nicholas Roval are likely going to come in soon. Or not Nicholas, Gustavo Ariel, rather.
Could be a sign of things come. Probably just following Nicholas Roval out, Andrew. He definitely has maybe a few spotters trying to help him. Obviously, it's a trend that the Brazilians kind of run the races all in the same Discord call. Obviously, on tracks like this, no one is going to be talking a single word due to the amount of concentration that they need. But it could be a bit of communication just to let him know that it's possibly possible to do that. But yeah. We're just going to have to wait and see and keep an eye out on the number 15 if he's going to try anything to get past his championship rival and, well, the leader.
Juan stays on the racetrack. Gustavo stays on the racetrack. They all keep going now. At least 4 now. And I've noticed there's been some saving still. I think into the max straightaway chicane, it was most evident here for Gustavo. If you listened in, you could hear him put the clutch in. So, things pretty much just continuing on as normal. Not a whole lot has changed. Just having some cars drop out of the race. Now, Fabio Zamperlini is still trailing Paulo Godai. This is still close. And really, the midfield is completely blown apart. There are not many battles left in the midfield, although Rodrigo Lapri comes in, so that'll take another one out of the way. As Hunter McDaniel wide in the hammerhead. I think he has damage.
Maybe a little bit of damage. It doesn't look too smooth. Yeah, I think he has a little bit of damage on the fender on the right-hand side, Andrew, especially on the front end. So maybe a touch on the wall on the exit of 2 could have damaged his car and probably unsettled it.
Let's get a look back here at car 12. And he's going to get the wall right about there. Kisses the wall between 1 and 2 with the right rear. We've seen that be an issue. Oh, yeah, he's correcting, I think. Oh, yeah. He's got all kinds of trouble in the car. So he's done about the same thing as Nathan Lewis. You put the right rear in the wall, and it's going to damage the toe plate. Yeah, that is all kinds of out.
Oh, yeah. And that just shows how unforgiving it is.
So the right rear on Hunter McDaniel's car damaged, and I talked about him being a potential for the championship earlier. Comes into tonight 6th in points, 25 points back or so. But this, I think, will take him out of it. Much like Nathan Lewis.
Yeah, so these two guys really suffering from small mistakes, Andrew, just carrying a bit too much speed. It really hurts as a commentator to watch. It definitely hurts as a driver to feel that mistake.
He is in the pit lane getting service. Quick, fast repair here. Get him back out there, but he lost a lot of time on that in lap. It's just going to pull him out of the battle. And, I mean, that deficit's now going to work up to 30, maybe even 40 points after tonight. So it's just a matter of the small things here and there, and this is one of the bigger things that he's unfortunately messed up.
Yeah, so, yeah. He's just going to be trying to run, trying to get as many positions as he can, as John said, like, as well. Comes down to the pit lane of 14, 15, maybe even 16. And then the leader comes in, Andrew. And I don't know why I sound so surprised. He was punching the air the whole time, so it kind of makes sense for him to be the first one. But we're going to have to see how long he stays on the pit lane and where he rejoins.
That car is clean as well. A really successful first run to about the half-hour mark here for Juan Blanat. Comes into the box. A little bit of damage there on the right front that he gets corrected. And he'll get back out there. Blake Scott is also going to come in. Oh, he's got a lot of damage, it looks like. Juan Buena, our race leader and points leader. Let's see when he leaves. 14, 15, almost 16 seconds. Yeah, he might not win this race.
Don't think so. And Andrew, judging by how close the top 5 were, he could be rejoining actually in 5th place right here, because that was a long stop. Now, obviously, the battle could be between these 3. Gustavo Ariel, Andre Melchers, not Andrew, and Arthur Leist.
Let's see when they pit. 20 minutes to go in this race. On board here with Gustavo. We'll see if Andre peels in. Oh, here comes Gustavo, and Andre will not.
That was a last-minute decision by Gustavo as well.
Arthur comes in.
And Arthur, yeah, his teammate is going to follow.
Nunez. Will Paulo Goday come in this time?
That's going to be a good one. He doesn't need to do it last minute. He could really try to line up, and no.
So here is Gustavo Ariel. We're expecting him to assume the race lead, but that could change. We don't know exactly how this works out, JP. You know, we've been surprised before. Arthur Leist also in this time, and Marcos Nunez, as we saw. Gustavo, only 14 seconds. He should take the race lead away.
I mean, it should, Andrew. We still have the number 25 ahead of them. And that's going to be the real, I guess, the wild card. Seeing if he's going to gamble anything on the field. You can see Blaynan rejoining behind Gustavo, but ahead of Arthur Leist.
It is 2 seconds to Gustavo from here. Man. I'm a fan of strategy, but I do also like car-to-car battles, and this fuel strategy, it just seems like you don't want to be pole sitter anymore. It seems like you want to qualify 2nd or 3rd.
Kind of difficult to say now. Andre comes out in the pit lane, but obviously Andrew, the leader, he's not going to have as much fuel-saving abilities because obviously he's going to be the one punching the air.
It seems like you want to qualify 2nd or 3rd and run 2nd or 3rd all race.
It's difficult, but I mean, it's a difficult situation to be. That's sometimes why sprint races like BSR are so much fun. No fuel strategy, just all-out pace. Andre's going to come down to the pit lane, though, and he was 3rd place, Andrew. He was saving. He hopes to have saved more than Gustavo Ariel, who's going to have to wait and see. Is he going to gamble on fuel? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.9. It's going to be close.
Paulo Goday is in this lap. Here he is in car 193. Fabio Zamperlini, it just absolutely mirrors him into the pit lane. So Paulo and Fabio. Now Andre Melchers will be released right behind Gustavo Ariel right there. Nearly identical pit lane times. 38.7 for Gustavo, 38.4 for Andre.
Yeah, the gap between them exiting the pits was on the thousandths of a second, and Gustavo managed to jump him. So, yeah, now we're going to have a fun race between those two. Fabio really gambling on fuel, really trying to probably jump Paulo Goday, Andrew.
And he does do exactly that and jump Paulo Goday in the 193. Now, I don't want it to come off as like we don't like fuel strategy, but, you know, it's tough when a driver goes and runs a perfect race until the last 20 minutes and they're suddenly 2-3 seconds behind. It really sucks for Juan Buena. And now you just know, I guess it's, in fairness, he could have let these guys go by at any time and saved behind them. It is the game you have to play, and he knows that. But it is so unfortunate for Juan to be so good in that first run and now really not have an option.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see from his point of view, but Andrea, you mentioned we've seen previously, especially on these guys.
We all know the game you have to play at this point.
Yeah, and we know that sometimes the leader just allows second place to go by to save a little bit of fuel, and then, well, the next leader does that, and, you know, it's a game of chess, you know. He chose, unfortunately, to have the track position. Ended up not working out for him, and but Andrew, still 16 minutes to go. If these two, well, they're gonna go at it. If they slow themselves down, Blaynan's gonna be right there. Overtaking is difficult, but not impossible.
On board here with Andre Melchers, while Arthur Leist puts some pressure ahead on Juan Buena. There aren't a ton of battles throughout the field, although the one that is popping up is Mario Melendea and Bryce Rodriguez. This is down to the front stretch chicane. You see Bryce Rodriguez in the Ferrari, and Mario Melendea is going to protect down to the inside of turn number 1 in that BMW. These are two differently classed cars. Well, drivers anyways. And of course, that's what makes class racing here so tough. And we see it with BSR as well. We're seeing it with more and more road leagues, I think, in general. Running the same class car so that you don't have multi-class battles in that respect, but you're classing drivers differently. You're scoring them in separate columns, basically. You still earn points the same way. BSR and NARL do that the same way, but the driver is racing a different class driver. The equipment is all the same. The cars are the same, or at least the same spec in this case. It does make it tough. When you're Bryce in this case, you've got to race that guy like he's just another guy. You can't expect him to move over. And I think that's kind of what I was trying to get at with Juan Bustamante way earlier in the race is, yeah, you're a pro driver technically, but you're all in the same stuff, and he can easily defend you. It's not like you're an LMP2 or an LMP1 working on an LMP2 car, right? So you've got to deal with that sometimes. It is pretty much just a driver-to-driver race, and it's just the scoring at the end that's different. So it's so tough, especially in the case of Bryce. He knows he's capable of passing Mario Blendea, but he's got to do it very calmly. He's got to do it in a calm, collected manner, and not get frustrated here.
Absolutely, and that's the difficult part, and sometimes not to get frustrated. You're probably going to be asking, why are you racing me that hard? Why are you trying to hold me up? And I know, because sometimes I have done that personally when I was racing, and but these drivers, well, they have to keep those emotions on point, because otherwise sometimes they can get the best of them.
Here's Paulo Godai, 9th place, ahead of Hunter McDaniel, who's still hanging on to a top 10, by the way. Props here for Hunter for damage control for this race. It could have been a lot worse. It could have been like Nathan Lewis in 26th, 20 laps down out of the race, but instead, Hunter is still in the top 10, putting together a really good race. It might not keep him in a championship battle, but it's certainly going to be one that keeps him in the top 5, I think, in the standings. Up front, Andre Melcher still very, very close to Gustavo Ariel. And recently, we've seen driver and team charts come out for the North American Racing League Cash Days event coming up later this year. Here we go, a move on the race lead. Oh my goodness, Andre Melcher's wasting no time, right to the right side there of Gustavo Ariel. Side by side to the back straight of chicane for the lead. Did not expect that.
No, did not expect that either, Andrew. And this just means that the race is definitely on. Look at the gap between him and Blaine. And now Gustavo's going to have to go defensive on the final chicane, really closing the door to Andre. This is proper racing. Is this what you asked for, Andrew?
Yes, I like this. I don't like so much trying to figure out numbers, even though, well, I do. But I like this more often than I do fuel mileage races. It's fun to figure out strategy, but it's more fun to watch this kind of stuff as Andre is none too pleased with Gustavo right now. I don't think it's necessarily at a, wow, you've done me wrong. I think it's just a, wow, you've raced me back, and now I'm frustrated, and I want to go past you, so I'm going to play head games. That kind of deal. We see this so often in iRacing. It's what makes it so much fun. These guys, they don't have to pay for these cars. They can beat them up if they have to a little bit. They can go for it. I really love that about sim racing. They don't have to worry about that money aspect at the end of the day, and they just have to go out there and try and race. Gustavo Ariel does not want to lose this lead. And you know what, JP? I see a Ferrari growing larger in the distance.
Yeah, that gap is really coming down, and you can see Melcher's going to go once again.
Contact!
Gustavo, once again, contact. Gustavo's going to take the corner. He's going to have to slow down.
He's going to try not to slow Andre down. Here we go. Juan Blaina just behind them now.
That's tactics right there, trying to slow them down. Unfortunately, he's going to be forced to the outside now, and that's really going to play against him. Unless he can clear... Oh, he's not going to be able to clear Melcher. He's going to have the inside line through the final chicane. Wow. He's going to get the position. Blainat is going to come close, and he's going to lose the position to Arthur Leist.
Juan Blainat had a great opportunity there. Came up in the 3rd spot on those guys. Andre goes on through. Gustavo loses the spot, and now Juan even picks up a little bit of damage there between 1 and 2. What could have been a race saver turns into a race, not quite ender, but detriment for sure. Drops him from 3rd to 4th, and Gustavo now none too happy there with Andre. This is good stuff. I enjoy this very much. I will take my words back from previously. This is a quality race.
That's fantastic. That's all you need. Sometimes we need it, right, Andrew? In a 50-minute race, sometimes 2 minutes
like
of
sitting
action.
at a red light. You sit there and wait and wait and wait and say, man, I wish this light would just turn green. Man, I hate red lights. And then it clicks and it's a green light. When sometimes you just manifest something, speak it into existence. Man, it's oh so satisfying.
That's the curse going right this time around, Steve. That's all we needed. So now the gap between Melchers and Ariel has definitely grown around 6/10 of a second. So looks like on this final part of the race, Andrew, the number 25 definitely has the advantage, the German driver, over the Brazilian one. And that's going to be the question: does Arthur Lights maybe challenge his teammate to try and get that victory?
Oh, Gustavo, a really bad
that
chicane there. That might be a slowdown as well. Gustavo waits. Sorry, Arthur
You
waits.
can see Arthur,
They're
yeah,
racing.
flashing his headlights.
Yeah, they're racing. They're not trying to work together right now. They are racing, definitely. Arthur flashing his headlights in annoyance.
No, I think he was just letting his teammate know,
Oh,
just go,
you might
go.
be right. You might be right.
He was probably just flashing like, go, I'm not going to challenge him. I'm going to try to hold Blaney behind. There's really no point in Lights challenging Ariel right here.
Right.
He's holding the
not in the
championship
points.
leader.
Yep.
Yeah. That 1 point difference, I mean, it's definitely going to be extinguished by the end of the race because there's one car between Ariel and Blaney.
Meanwhile, and Gustavo's starting to make mistakes here. He's really getting flustered, I think, in the car. He's got to rein himself back in a little bit, just scrub the wall at a turn 8. He's got everything in front of him, including a championship lead. He's just got to hang on. Andre Melchers drives away. Yeah, there's that damage on both sides now of the 15 car. He's just got to keep this car in second place.
And let me tell you, Andrew, he's in a perfect position because he has his teammate right behind. And, I mean, if you're Gustavo Ariel, you're going to be cheering, even if you're not going to win the race, which is definitely out of the question right now. I mean, having your teammate when you have damage to your car on a track like this, it's all you're asking for.
But how desperate does Juan Blanat get? How desperate does maybe Nicholas Rubilar get for some positions? He's close. He's in a good spot in the championship. Just needs a little bit of extra help.
And let me tell you something. This BMW, it's a large car, isn't it? The number 30
It's a
BMW,
wide boy.
Yeah, it's a wide boy. The number 30 is going to be the widest boy we're ever going to see. I guarantee you that. It's going to be essentially, he's going to try to park that buzz any apex he can to try and slow down Blanat. And
We're already seeing it in action.
yeah, you can see the gap between him and his teammates. It's growing up. Remember Lewis Hamilton in 2016? Parking the bus to Nico Rosberg to allow the Ferraris to come in. This is exactly what we're seeing. Trying to slow down Blanat.
Even more recent. Think back to Abu Dhabi last year.
Yeah,
Checo Perez.
there we go. Yeah, absolutely. That's all you need. That is actually a perfect scenario right there. Lights is going to be holding Blanat to maybe try and force Rubilar to make a move on the number 89.
Yeah, so Abu Dhabi and F1 last year. I know that's going to trigger some memories as it is, but think back to Sergio Perez backing up Lewis Hamilton and allowing Max Verstappen to get some time on him. And that was for the championship. This is very much in the future for the championship. This is 3 rounds to go, sure, but this is going to have such an impact. I think holding Juan Blanat in this 4th position, this is going to be huge if Gustavo is able to hang on to the championship.
And we're still going to have to wait 8 minutes to see if this is going to come to fruition, if Blanat is going to be able to pass. I mean, if Blanat passed Lights, Andrew, it should not be hard work for him to pass Ariel, especially with that amount of damage. So it's really a big task for the number 30 to really hold the championship leader behind him. He has a wide car. He's a fantastic driver. It's just being able to hold off for another 8 minutes. Obviously, if Rubilar gets past Blanat, Andrew, that's a whole different story.
Yeah, that really changes things up at that point. In Pro-Am, we haven't talked about it in a little bit, so let's go ahead and do so now before this race comes to an end. Reed Gibson. I just can't believe this guy's pace. It's much like Bobby Flack in the amateur race, and for Reed's sake, I will knock on wood for him, just because we had that happen earlier, but Reed has been fantastic in this race, hasn't he? Up in the 7th spot overall, leading in Pro-Am. I've not seen a race like this out of any of the Scuderia Chicken House cars this season. I think back in Season 1 we had a few of them like that, but this is really, really good stuff for Reed Gibson. Leading in Pro-Am by 3.5 seconds over the championship leader, Paulo Godai. Now, as far as points, Gibson, he does come in the 3rd spot. Sedlak might drop behind him now. It's not going to be a huge gap that Gibson makes up on Paulo, but it's going to be points at the very least. So if Paulo has bad races at Virginia and at Interlagos, it's a conversation to have at the very least. It might work out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's still wide open. Anything can happen, Andrew. We still have 6 minutes to go, and you know, I'm gonna knock on wood as well because I mean it has been on point, but Reed is doing a fantastic job. Paulo is doing what he needs to do. Essentially, Andrew, he doesn't need to win a race. win races. He just needs to finish them, which is, I mean, really important. It looks like on the, I mean, while we weren't talking about him, he got past Fabio Zamperlini at one point, and they're holding ground currently. And this battle right here, Andrew, is getting closer and closer. And 5 minutes and 40 to go. It's gonna get even more exciting, I think.
By the way, some cars that we looked at earlier on in the race that we're really proud of, unfortunately now in the pits. Well, one of them is Bryce Rodriguez, actually. He just came into the pit lane, I think, with some damage. Or he mismanaged his fuel. But I really want to focus on guys like AJ Servato, Mitchell Ian Green, Lucas Souza, Justin Sang, Scott Reister that are now all out of this race by 15 laps, 5 laps, 6 laps, you know, margins like that. Really tough days for them. And they had good days going. Unfortunately, they didn't quite come to fruition. Now, back to 2nd through 5th place here, JP. Gustavo Ariel, let's recap this kind of position for him here. He's got to hang on to the 2nd spot. He comes into tonight 1 point behind Juan Blanat for the championship in Pro Class and overall, of course, and is doing a fantastic job. He's put himself in 2nd, nearly had a chance at a race win. Andre was just a little bit too good and got by him. Oh, he gets the wall there. He's got to be careful of that, but sure, he let Andre go on through after a very spirited and dramatic battle, but he's hanging on to 2nd, which is 2 spots over Juan Blanat, who comes in leading by 1 point. And 3rd place, Nathan Lewis is well down the order. In fact, he's way out of this race by 27 laps. He's not going to do anything, it looks like now. Andre, sure, will make a point or, you know, up to, what, I think 3 or 4 points on these guys, but this is perfect from both Gustavo Ariel and Juan Blanat to limit what could go wrong for them. They've run great races, and especially in Gustavo's case, he should take the championship lead.
Yeah, absolutely. And 4 minutes to go. It's going to be looking good for him. Blanat, unfortunately, saw this kind of slipping away from his end, Andrew. Fuel strategy, well, unfortunately, did not go his way, and unfortunately, right here, he's stuck behind Ariel's teammate. But the funny thing is, just before the race, you asked me who I thought was going to win. I said either Ariel or Leist. You said Bustamante. None of us said Melchers, and I think that might be a first, actually.
I do think so. He's been so good in both series this season of the North American Racing League in the spring of 2022, but I don't know. I didn't think this would be a race that he went and won. I don't know why. I actually don't think he ran here in the Porsche Cup car back in March, so maybe that's part of it, but I just didn't think of car 25 when I thought of the race winner tonight, clearly playing the fuel game, and I think putting everybody on notice that, yeah, he is the guy to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if it wasn't for the 2 races he disconnected, Andrew, I mean, he disconnected. I mean, he didn't finish 2 races, and he's only 12 points behind the leader. I guess that tells us everything we need to know about the number 25. What could have been if it wasn't for those 2 router resets.
And he's going to be within 10, I think, after this race, going into VIR next week.
So it's still very much open. I mean, everybody needs to keep their eyes open. Gustavo, Juan, everybody needs to keep their eyes open because it's definitely not over from here on out.
And I think we'll see Interlagos be a bit of a fuel race. I think VIR will be a bit of a fuel race. I think Interlagos should be a lot racier than VIR next week. VIR next week will be a deal of managing attrition, managing mistakes, and saving fuel. There will be a lot of places where you can't pass. I'm thinking of the lower S's, the upper S's. You just cannot pass through there. You got to make your passes in turn 1, maybe in NASCAR corner as well. In Oak Tree, potentially, that's going to be dangerous. Into roller coaster, maybe. There aren't many places to pass at VIR. It's going to be tough on these guys. You've got to get yourself in a good position early. I think that's going to be, again, 2nd or 3rd. Save fuel, especially up into the braking zone for the roller coaster at VIR. And turn 1. I think of some others. Even at Oak Tree, you can save a little bit, I think. It's going to be a fuel-saving race. I think we're going to see a very similar race to tonight where things can get chaotic, drivers can make mistakes, you can have big issues, but you've just got to save fuel and position yourself for the final 10, maybe 15 minutes.
And Interlagos is going to be a bit more of the same, Andrew. Straightaways, especially the front
one, is
absolutely. Yeah, just due to that massive straightaway, I think. You know, it's going to be fun. Obviously, Interlagos is always fun. And I'm just going to say, you know, Gabriel is going to have an unfair advantage. We all know that Brazilians around Interlagos, we get around half a second for free. So, I mean, everybody's going to have to practice a little bit harder, especially coming into the final race. But it's going to be a fuel mileage race as well. Drivers are really going to have to, I mean, the leaders, I think, is going to suffer quite a bit. So we might see a bit of swap-ups like we didn't see today. We might see over there.
I must say, I love that Juan Blanat has accepted this 4th place. He has really just kind of load into his own zone. He's keeping the race together. He's thinking like a champion right now, or at least driving like a champion. He's not getting too overly flustered behind these guys, just accepting that he might not go up and get them, and is going to have to settle for whatever he can get. I love that. He understands he might lose a couple of points, might lose the championship this year, or might lose the championship lead anyways to Gustavo Ariel, but there's still 2 races to go, plenty of opportunity to get it back. He's not getting flustered over round 6 of 8 when there's still 2 more to go. Meanwhile, white flag is displayed for race leader Andre Melchers that will cut the race from 41 laps down to 40. The pace, of course, was close to getting that extra lap, but with that pit stop has come back down.
Yeah, and this is going to be the lap that that matters, Andrew. Melchers has to pretty much keep the car intact for a few extra miles. The same for Gustavo, the same for Arthur, the same for Juan. And it's going to be a good day of racing. But as you mentioned, Blaney doing a fantastic job. Thinking the bigger picture, is it worth risking a move on Arthur right now in the final few minutes of the race and probably throwing the championship away? Or is it better, just taking a few points out, maybe losing the championship lead, but coming to next week closer and with a realistic fighting chance? So I feel like he chose the right option. And, we're only going to see if it pays off, Andrew, in 2 weeks' time.
Andre Melchers into the back straightaway chicane and out of the back straightaway chicane. Pops the wall a little bit, but it looks like the car is okay, and all he's got to do is pretty much coast from here back to the start-finish line, and he has got another race win this season. He's been doing that a lot, and he's going to do so in Charlotte. Into the final chicane, and he is going to win round 6 of 8 in the North American Racing League. Congratulations, Andre Melchers.
Really good race for him, really good pace. Gustavo Ariel is going to finish 2nd place with the help of his teammate Arthur Lice. Juan Blaney, the once championship leader. I think he may have lost it right now, but he's going to finish in 4th place. A really strong race for him. Nicholas Rubilar as well, Andrew. Really good race. And Reed Gibson is going to come on from, a dominant Pro-Am performance.
Reed Gibson will be the next car across the start-finish line for position, and there he goes, claiming a Pro-Am win in commanding fashion. Paulo Godoy does hang on to the 8th spot. I wonder if Fabio recognized the point situation there and allowed the Brazilian to hang on to that spot. Could be a big play. Hunter McDaniel comes across in 10th. Scott Kimbrough 11th, and Mark McDonald will go to the 12th position. Blake Scott is still racing with Max Wobbles. This is not entirely over, although Max Wobbles is a little ways back. And here we go. Rodrigo Lapri, this might not be over at all. Through the final chicane, they will all hold position. It looked promising for a moment, but no change there. And Wobbles will stay 14th, Scott 13th, and Lapri in the 15th position. The final car to finish this race will be Mario Blendia, who is only now into the front straightaway chicane, and he will take checkers. 16th.
So there you go, 16th place takes the checker flag, and that's it, Andrew, from the, I was almost said Bank of America Roval 400. Nope, that's it for NARL at Charlotte Roval. Fun couple of races. You can see the infield has already turned off its light. Oh, there's no lights in the infield. Actually, remove what I just said, but it was a fun day of racing.
I would like the temporary lighting that NASCAR trucked in for the Roval a couple of years ago with the Xfinity race going into the rain and into the evening, and even the IMSA race, of course, needed some lights in the infield. I wouldn't mind that temporary lighting on the infield just to light it up a little bit. It would be quite the appearance. But that is it for racing this evening. We've still got some drivers to go ahead and talk to, and it seems like they're already getting ready in the waiting booth. And it seems like Andre Melchers, he was first to the checkers. He is first to the interview waiting booth as well. Andre, a big win this evening. And we know the game you guys have to play at this point. We know it's a waiting game on fuel, setting up for the last 15 minutes of the race. How did you do so tonight?
Yeah, kind of surprised that I got to win today. When I saw my pace in the qualifying and in the practice as well, I didn't really thought that. Yeah, the race was quite tricky for me. Also, the fighting with Gustavo at the end. I was like, yeah, okay, I will save the whole race, and maybe I will get P1 then after the pit stop. And yeah, the problem was just that Gustavo underfueled a bit. I really thought, like, when I was coming out of the pits, yeah, okay, that's gonna be enough. But then suddenly there was Gustavo behind me, or ahead of me after the pits then. And yeah, I thought, like, yeah, I made this guy definitely has to fuel save a bit, because, I don't know, he pitted a lap earlier than me, and Also didn't really save a lot of fuel before. So yeah, that's what I saw then as well, that he has to save in the last laps. And yeah, he was a bit aggressive while he was defending, and I thought like, okay, I'm gonna be aggressive as well a little bit. And yeah, unfortunately we made some contact then before the chicane, and I don't know, I just rewatched the incident, and I don't really have an opinion on that, to be honest. It was kind of an aggressive move from me, but I think I still let him a bit of space also in the right-hander then. But yeah, he decided to cut it then, and in the next chicane I got him then at the end, and yeah, was then on a really good run in the final laps to also make a bit of a gap.
And how important are those positions when it comes down to it? Obviously, points are at a premium. Passing is difficult the rest of the championship here. How important is it to get those passes at any cost?
It's not that important because the point difference in the between P1 and 2 is only 2 points, I think. But I mean, it's so close at the top of the championship, so it's like every point counts. And yeah, that was my mindset for this race as well.
You come into tonight 12 points back, and you should get a few over Gustavo, or at least one, right? You should get a couple more than that, I think. But you'll even gain on Juan Blanat, so you're going to get, I think, inside of 10 to the lead. How do you go into VIR next week then? Do you have experience at VIR? How do you approach it?
Same as today. Practice hard, race hard, and yeah, finish. Yeah, the wish would be finish at the top again.
There you go, Andre Melcher is another win this season. Congratulations, 13 laps led, put the car in the right place we needed to, and certainly a commanding win here at Charlotte. Best of luck to you next week, and well, really the next 2 weeks, buddy. We'll see you.
Thank you.
Andre Melcher's a big win here today. I think that's just the best way to sum that up, JP. He's doing what he needs to do, executing when he needs to, and putting points together. We'll see if it's enough in a couple of weeks' time.
Absolutely. I mean, you put it perfectly. I mean, a fantastic race for him. Now, a fantastic race again. Good racecraft as well from Gustavo Ariel. E, Gustavo, bom, no final ali da corrida, eu acredito que eu posso falar por você e acho pelos teus companheiros, foi o melhor companheiro do mundo que você teve nas últimas voltas.
Foi maravilhoso ali o final. Ele conseguiu segurar as pontas ali, né? Primeiramente, boa noite para todo mundo aí, desculpa chegar assim. Bom, foi uma corrida muito legal. Ele conseguiu ali no final ajudar um pouco ali. O Juan estava liderando o campeonato, então a gente queria manter esse segundo e terceiro, então foi bem positivo. Infelizmente ali tomei um toque por trás do André e não consegui manter a liderança, né? Largando de quinto ia ser muito difícil liderar a corrida, mas a gente conseguiu, então fiquei feliz com isso. Vamos ver o que os comissários vão falar na próxima, mas chegamos na frente do Juan, que era o líder, que era o nosso objetivo, fez a pole, então já sabia que ia ser muito difícil. Então foi maravilhosa a corrida, pódio para full time aí, como equipe a gente está muito bem também, então foi um resultado muito positivo numa pista muito difícil de ultrapassar, de pilotar, né? Tá sempre ali no limite dos muros, então foi uma noite muito legal. Quero agradecer demais aí a Full Time, os patrocinadores B8 Seguros, Logitech, todo mundo que me apoia aí. Um grande abraço a todos e é isso aí. Thank you all guys. So good race today, good points, and let's go to Virginia next week and hope we had a good result too there. Bye bye.
Antes de eu te deixar sair, Gustavo, obviamente você vai vir pra Virgínia, provavelmente como líder do campeonato. Como é que você chega pra Virgínia treinando assim, a penúltima corrida da temporada, liderando, como é que fica?
Cara, fica uma expectativa muito boa, porque Virgínia é uma pista que eu gosto, e Interlagos depois é uma pista que não preciso nem falar, né, o quanto eu gosto de Interlagos. Então, né, sensacional aí essa final de campeonato pra mim, né, como pistas, e manter o pé no chão, né, vai ser difícil. Depois de Red Bull eu disse que Zolder seria muito difícil, e foi mesmo, né, já tomei um toque logo na largada ali, virava rápido, mas já estava totalmente desligado ali da corrida. Mas para Virgínia a expectativa é muito grande, vamos manter o pé no chão, treinar bastante, o grid é muito forte, né, pessoal muito próximo. Então vamos tentar fazer um ótimo trabalho aí, não só eu, mas como equipe também, a gente vai chegar muito forte. Brigadão Pedro Moura aí, nosso engenheiro e todo mundo aí. Valeu aí, Joãozinho.
Com certeza, Gustavo. Dito isso, parabéns pela corrida. E, bom, espero falar contigo semana que vem.
Valeu, grande abraço and thank you all guys. See you soon.
Well, Andrew, I guess, well, it was quite a long interview, but, you know, I guess you kind of know the points. You know, he was really happy about the result, even though he did not ended up winning, you know, starting from 5th place and ended up leading the race for quite a bit of time. It was a really good, you know, start for him. Obviously, he ended up finishing second after the touch, and he was unable, as Ed right now is currently taking part of the interview as well, he was unable to keep up with the lead, and but I mean, with the teammate right behind him taking a 2nd and 3rd place for full-time esports, he was pretty happy about it. Talking about Virginia next week, obviously, you know, I mentioned that he's probably going to come up as a championship leader. He said, you know, it's more of the same, just practicing a lot, trying to get a good result over there. And obviously, he loves Virginia. And, well, he doesn't even have to mention how much he loves Interlagos. So he's really happy about the final part of the schedule, Andrew. And I feel like it's going to be a fantastic end of the season.
It definitely is going to be. It's shaping up to be an all-time classic championship battle. Down in Pro-Am, though, we've got Reed Gibson, who goes and collects a win this evening in commanding fashion. Definitely, I think, coming alive as one of the top Pro-Am drivers for the back end of the season. Reed, I think it's the first time we've ever talked to you. Congratulations, first off, this evening. And you're the first Ferrari driver we've talked to. What was it like picking a car for this race?
Well, I put a lot of practice into this race. You know, on initial testing, I think a lot of people share the same opinion that Charlotte's a tough track and can be quite infuriating. So, I mean, I took time and tried every single car and kind of whittled my way down to this and the Ferrari and the BMW. And at the end of the day, my long run pace, I was just a little bit faster, a little bit more consistent in the Ferrari. But, you know, my optimal times and my best laps were actually all within a tenth of each other. So I kind of rolled the dice and said, you know, screw it, let's try the Ferrari. And it seemed to have worked out.
And we see the difficult fuel game that you have to play at the front, the very front of the field. How different is it for you? You're still leading in Pro-Am, obviously. You go out there, put it on pole, and you've got to save fuel for the next, you know, several laps. You've got to save fuel at least to your pit stop. How different is it, though, because you have cars in front of you that you can draft off of for a little while?
Yeah, so at the start of the race, honestly, I didn't, you know, that pole lap, I didn't know if I was going to be able to do that. I had done pace like that in practice, but in the pre-race practice, I felt like I was just really slow. So my mindset was going to be, you know, okay, where can I fuel save and whatnot. And as soon as we got started, I was, you know, sitting behind Lewis, and I was like, you know, I if I push, I can maybe stay in his draft and pull out a little bit of gap to the next car, and that's going to be worth more now at the start of the race than fuel saving. So after that happened, I looked at the gap and decided, you know what, I'm just going to drive my pace. I'm not going to worry about it, because if I try to fuel save, you know, who's to say what's going to happen? And, you know, I was worried about cars pitting early for damage, and that did happen. You know, we had some cars that pitted early, and I got stuck behind a train, and I ultimately made the call to come in just a handful of laps early because I didn't want to sit behind that traffic. I knew I could sit, you know, right in that high 15, low 16s, and it seemed like that pace was good enough, and I was kind of rolling the dice that the guys behind weren't aggressively fuel saving. So, you know, a little bit of luck, but also kind of just trusting in, you know, I think I said this the last time we talked at Sebring, but just running your own race. You know, you can't influence what others are going to do. You can only set yourself up for your own best version of your full run pace.
Even call me out there. We did talk at Sebring, didn't we? You know, as a broadcaster, we have a short memory. There's so many broadcasts we do, but as a race car driver, you guys have long memories. I like that about you. But let's talk big picture here. For the season, you're now likely going to be second in the championship, maybe still third, about tied with your teammate John Sedlak. How do you approach the next few races, or the next two races then? You're still a good ways behind Paulo, but you chipped into that a little bit tonight. So you're going to make up a little bit of ground. How do you try and make up more ground next week at VIR and at least position yourself so that if Paulo has an issue these last two races, you can try and capitalize?
Well, unfortunately, I'm going to miss VIR for real world obligations. So that's kind of the part of the reason why I really try to step my game up for this weekend to, you know, really put my absolute best foot forward for the last handful of races. So, you know, yes, we're going to miss VIR, but we're going to come back and do Interlagos. So that gives me plenty of time to practice and be as ready as I can be. And just hoping that, you know, the results I had earlier in the season, which I had some okay races and some less than stellar races, and you just hope that it averages out. So, you know, learning as we go and the series is really forcing me to step my game up and work with my teammates and, bounce ideas off, and, the coaching that they can all provide. None of us are, pro level drivers really, or at least maybe not pro level pace, but together we can kind of, figure out what we can do at our best. And I think, we're good enough to really be up there in the mix, especially when things happen up at the front, being ready to pounce. So yeah, like you said, just being ready to take advantage of any gimmies that come our way.
And how about Caches coming up at Watkins Glen, a 24-hour race on the horizon, especially now if you might have to kind of give up the thought of a championship here in Pro-Am. Do you start to focus on Watkins Glen at all? How do you start to focus on Watkins Glen? A 24-hour race is no easy task.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll put in a decent amount of practice for Watkins Glen, but you don't want to put in more than what is fun. I mean, at the end of the day, we're pro-rams. I'm not even driving in pro. So if it's not fun, I'm not going to do it. And I think I had fun practicing for Charlotte because it was a challenge, and I think I'll have fun with Interlagos because it's a challenge. But Watkins Glen, I'm a little more familiar with, so I may not put as much effort into that. But it's at the end of the day, it's about having fun and showing what you can do as a racer. But this is not a full-time job, so probably split my time, do what I'm feeling like, and try to come up with some kind of consistent rhythm to just a handful of laps every day to kind of keep the muscle memory fresh.
There you go, Reed Gibson with the Pro-Am win this evening. Thanks for your time, Reed. We'll talk to you maybe in 2 weeks at Interlagos, and definitely try and talk to you in a few weeks at Watkins Glen, buddy. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Reed Gibson with a win this evening. I think that he's definitely one of the better guys, I think, to talk to. That was a great conversation we just had, and I think, JP, you're going to have an even better one potentially with Paulo Gadai here, who goes second in class, and he just will not release his vice grips on this Pro-Am category.
Absolutely, he won, Andrew. And Paulo, bom, corrida terminou em segundo lugar, dá pra ver que teve um pouquinho de dano, então não foi uma corrida tão lisa quanto talvez a gente esperava, mas com certeza você continua liberando o campeonato, e no final das contas, às vezes é tudo que importa, né?
Boa noite, João. Boa noite a todo mundo que tá na cabine, que tá assistindo. Sim, quando eu entro no pit ali, eu já tava com a ideia de já entrar com o repair ligado, né? Já imaginava que o carro tinha um pouco de dano. Não cheguei a bater, mas foi um jeito de pegar a zebra errado ali, que quase acaba com a corrida. Mas, no mais, é exatamente isso que você falou. A gente pontuou de novo, né? Eu acho que é o mais importante. Ficamos bem colocados entre o grid inteiro, na verdade, mas na categoria deu para trazer ainda esse pódio. E eu estou bem feliz pelo resultado. Na verdade, é uma pista que a gente se preocupa muito mais em terminar ela do que andar forte e absurdo num pace descontrolado. Então, no meio do caminho, eu fui achando um pace confortável para estar andando, sem exagerar. Ainda mais depois do acontecido, eu já senti que o carro já não estava 100% mais, então eu tive que esperar o box para poder voltar com o carro melhor. E o Red Gibson andou demais, né? Eu acho que mereceu. No começo da corrida ele teve uns enroscos ali e eu perdi um pouco de tempo, então desgarrei um pouco dele e ele continuou no vácuo, então foi a parte importante para ele também, para conseguir essa leve distância que ele conseguiu, mas depois para tirar já era mais complicado, eu fiquei sem vácuo ali. Até o Fábio me ajudou um pouco em relação ao vácuo depois do pit, mas não foi o suficiente. Tava num ritmo muito bom também, mereceu. Mas no mais é isso. Pra próxima semana a gente vai focar. Eu acho que agora sem a Porsche Cup é um ponto positivo para poder treinar mais focado num carro só, né? Não ter que dividir o tempo ali e a chave, né, que a gente costuma dizer, para poder chegar no carro e andar no limite. Mas a gente vai vir treinado e com muita vontade de pegar um pódio de novo. Se der o primeiro colocado, mas o mais importante, igual você falou, é pontuar e conseguir trazer esse caneco no final, que é o que mais importa, é o que eu mais quero, na verdade, agora.
Bom, com certeza, é o que acho que tá todo mundo torcendo. Falando em Virgínia, o que você acha da pista? Acha que vai estar confiante? O que você tá esperando? Obviamente, Interlagos é onde a gente termina, e a gente já sabe que a gente ganha meio segundo lá só por ser brasileiro, mas Virgínia é uma pista um pouco mais difícil. Como é que tu aproxima uma pista dessa, especialmente com essa vantagem que você tem no campeonato?
Não, bacana. O que eu tô pensando, né, obviamente, é a gente ir o melhor possível em Virgínia, né, pra gente já garantir uma pontuação confortável para poder chegar em Interlagos e além de andar comemorando, né, porque é um primeiro final de temporada incrível, né, para mim foi muita evolução, muito pouco tempo andando no iRacing, tanto que Virgínia também é uma pista que eu não tenho, então dentro da grade do campeonato eu não tinha 3 pistas, então tive que pegar de entender traçado e tal, né, e isso foi um ponto de desafio para mim. Virgínia também vai ser, né, não tenho a pista, ainda vou adquirir, e aí assim, entender traçado e tudo, mas como eu falei, o ponto positivo eu não tenho mais a Porsche, né, a gente acabou agora terça-feira, mas tem um ponto negativo que eu não conheço a pista ainda, então eu vou ter que suar bastante para poder aprender, para poder dar o meu melhor, mas o objetivo é esse, chegar em Virgínia, pontuar muito bem e levar para Interlagos uma cabeça mais fria, uma pista que a gente já conhece, é o nosso templo aqui do Brasil, obviamente, e aí então eu pretendo chegar com uma boa diferença e correr de uma forma mais tranquila e tentar garantir esse caneco.
Com certeza, Paulo. E então, bom, dito isso, não vou mais tirar teu tempo de treino, teu tempo de descanso. Agora sem a Porsche, você vai conseguir escutar minha voz toda quinta-feira. E bom, espero falar contigo quinta que vem. Um ótimo treino, um ótimo descanso e até lá.
Tranquilo, eu só queria deixar mais um agradecimento, obviamente, sempre, né? Ao pessoal aqui do Brasil, em especial hoje o Zampa e o Vitinho, tava ali no Discord, a gente trocando ideia, treinando junto e tudo. Então, DHR, Fábio Zamperlini, Vitinho, o pessoal também que tá com a gente, mas não tá andando, mas tá sempre dando um apoio ali. E, obviamente, o time que eu tô andando agora aqui na GT3, a gente mudou no meio do caminho, Brad King, forte abraço pro time, obrigado pela parceria, por ter dado a nós essa confiança aí pra estar andando aí representando essa marca maravilhosa. Valeu!
Com certeza, até mais, Paulo. And Emerson, well, there you go. Quite a long interview, but fun as usual. Well, he mentioned, first things first, the damage, it was addressed early on. He said it was just due to that, just curbs, tackling maybe in the wrong way, in the wrong angle, ended up making him, get a bit of damage. He mentioned that, well, it was a good point scoring position, and that's all he's looking for currently. Just all you need right now, especially on his position leading the championship. He's very happy with the results, especially in a tricky track like this, which, the most important point is just to finish the race. You don't need to win it. If you finish, you're going to be much better than a lot of people. And he was trying to find a comfortable pace during the race itself. He lost a bit of slipstream to Reed, and after he lost and got his pace, he really was finding it difficult to try and reel him back in. He was unable to do it, but he definitely tried. He sent obviously a lot of congratulations to Reed due to the good result, because it was a fantastic battle between them. And now thinking about next week at VIR, he doesn't even own the track yet, so it's going to be a brand new practice session for him. Obviously, he mentioned that now that the Porsche Cup season is over on NARL, he's going to have a lot more time to practice and focus just on learning that track, getting a good data, and obviously, trying to improve himself. And what he's looking for is just good results, getting a good bag of points, and then, well, having a good, relaxed race at Interlagos.
Full results then this evening from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Let's go ahead and take a look. Finishing first, of course, Andre Melchers by 6 seconds over Gustavo Auriel. Arthur Leist comes in at the 3rd spot. Juan Blaine at 4th. Nicholas Rubelar there at 7th. Marcos Nunez goes 6th. And your first Pro-Am driver, that's Reed Gibson in the 7th position. Paulo Gadai close behind. Fabio Zamperlini 9th. And Hunter McDaniel there in 10th.
11th place goes the way of Scott Kimbrough. Mark McDonough is going to finish in 12th ahead of Blake Scott. Mark Wobbles in 14th place ahead of Rodrigo Lapri. Mario Blandera is going to be the last driver to finish in the lead lap in 16th place. Behind him, Mike Galbraith, John Sadlek, Pierre Thompson, and Bryce Rodriguez.
Finishing in the 21st spot, you've got AJ Stravato. It was a good effort for him for a while. Unfortunately, comes up 11 laps shy of the rest of the field. Mitchell Green there in 22nd. Justin Sang 23rd. Then it's Lucas Souza and Scott Rice, your top 25. 45, Nathan Lewis, Elliott White, Juan Bustamante, Mark Scott, and Brian Zinn in that earlier batch of retirees. JP, it was a good one this evening from Charlotte Motor Speedway, as we expected it would be. What do you take away from it?
Oh, fantastic racing, Andrew. Quite a lot of action from the leaders, which is exactly what we're looking for, especially on this final part of the season. And, well, I expect more of the same. VIR next week is going to be a fantastic race. Cannot wait, obviously, Interlagos to round off the season on May 5th. That's going to be a whole lot of fun as well. But, VIR, Andrew, I know you love it. I know I love it. It was my first race, actually, that I covered on PitStopTV, so only good memories from there.
Yeah, good memories to the end here. VIR, then Interlagos. I think next week is going to be a race of attrition as far as keeping the car on the racetrack, not necessarily attrition of staying alive. I think drivers look at Charlotte as being tougher than VIR because the walls are so close, but VIR is tougher to get right. More corners, it's a longer course, it's a lot more technical in a lot of ways. It's going to be more difficult on these guys as far as getting a lap in properly. And off tracks, they're a dime a dozen of VIR. It's very easy to go off into the grass. Doesn't matter what corner it is. Turn 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way through what? I think 19 there, at maybe even 20 at VIR. I gotta refresh myself, I suppose, but it's going to be tough. It is going to be very, very tough. And Interlagos say, I think, the same. It's very easy to get an off track here and there. It's going to be a difficult couple of weeks on these guys as far as nailing laps down left and right and putting races together. That said, JP, let's go ahead and take a look at the upcoming broadcast as a whole here at PitStopTV. You can see there, Sunday evening, we've got MPI Cup Series coverage from the Talladega Super Speedway that gets going at 9 Eastern here on PitStopTV. I'll be taking you through the action. It'll be a fun one. Talladega, Alabama, always fun with NASCAR stock cars. Throw in the fact that it's the next-gen car, the fact that it's the MPI Cup Series with all of their stories to boot, and it's going to be a good day of racing. Then Tuesday afternoon, 8 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Eastern, we go to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park with BSR, the British Sim Racers. It's going to be a lot of fun in their Mazda MX-5s. And Wednesday, you see the Outlaw Sim Series heading to the Bristol Dirt. I'm sure Emerson will have a whole lot of fun with that. He just covered the MPI Cup Series over on, this past Sunday at Bristol Dirt on Easter. And a big shout out to him for doing so. But getting his dirt fix certainly here at the Bristol Motor Speedway, or at least there at the Bristol Motor Speedway, very, very quickly between MPI and the Outlaws Sim Series. There's more to that next week. Of course, we have BSRTC action from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park as well. And then, well, we're right back here with North American Racing League action with the GT3 cars at VIR. But JP, plenty of ways to follow along, plenty of ways to subscribe to PitStopTV as well.
Absolutely. On Facebook.com/PitStopTV, Twitter.com/PitStopTV_, Instagram.com/Pit_Stop_TV, and YouTube.com/PitStopTV1 for our live coverage.
Plenty of places to keep up with the channel here. We certainly recommend you doing so and taking a great look at this evening's social media coverage from the one, the only Emerson Arden, doing a fantastic job over there. It's been fun. But that is going to do it for us this evening from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Certainly a great time, a lot of great racing, a lot of great drama, a lot of great battles, and certainly some hurt feelings before VIR next week. But we have got to go ahead and sign off. For everybody here at PitStopTV, JP Costa and Emerson Arden joining me, Andrew Cardinale IV, on coverage this evening. It has been a pleasure as always. A big shout out as well to our partners here with the North American Racing League, Racelab.app, Maradness, Tam Livery, and JS Consulting. That will do it from the virtual Concord, North Carolina. We will see you next week from the virtual Alton, Virginia at Virginia International Raceway. Make sure to be there.